Alright, we're gonna be reacting to Turkey Tom's video. I already watched like the first 10 minutes of it or whatever. And then I was like, you know what, there are some things that are wrong. It's not necessarily his fault that they're wrong. I mean, some of it maybe, but it's like, I don't think a lot of the information's out there. So, I'm produced Danny's Pod, for anyone who doesn't know. And, yeah, let me find the video real quick, actually. I almost, like, completely forgot. Let's get it. Yeah, okay, here it is. I already watched the first 10 minutes, but the rest of it, all the Rat Dick Ralph stuff I haven't gotten to.
Betrayal.
As soon as they started talking about Brandon, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe I should watch this on stream. Okay, here we go. Alright, so I'll just start the video all the way back at the beginning.
Betrayal. Insanity.
Betrayal.
There's nothing for you to explain! You keep texting her!
Degeneracy.
You and I play a game of rock, paper, scissors right now. I win, she has to spit your seed out. You win, she swallows.
That's sport.
These are the words that, unfortunately, define the downfall of YouTuber Danny Mullen. But who is Danny? Or rather, who did he used to be?
You could say Danny's downfall, but also his come up. Like, come on, you know.
Danny was born to a wealthy family and raised
Also
in
the
Orangevale,
come up.
California. Though he describes himself as having a knack for creative endeavors, trying to recreate movies he'd watch or drawing comic books during primary and middle school,
The downfall is just this word everybody uses in these videos because it gets a lot of views. All of these motherfuckers are still rich. All these YouTubers who fell off, they're still fucking rich.
passion died down for a while. After graduating from high school, he entered a community college and didn't know what career to pursue. Eventually, he transferred to...
Also, I'll stop pausing the video so much, but dude, this guy Turkey Tom does a lot of research. Like, honestly, it's pretty good. Like, the history of Danny's life, like, a lot of this shit I didn't even know.
UCLA with the ambition of becoming a lawyer, since according to him, he could always see himself as a regular white-collar guy, probably on account of his upbringing. What he didn't expect was for his creativity to resurface in his last year of school, prompting him to
It's because he's gay. That's actually why.
give up the lawyer dream to try his hand at comedy. While he did get his bachelor's, he proceeded to get blue-collar jobs at restaurants and nightclubs past this point. However stupid and irresponsible this decision...
Would you really call working a restaurant or a nightclub blue collar? Is that a blue collar job? I don't think that's what people mean by blue collar job. I don't think Danny's ever had a blue collar job. Austin doing Danny damage control right now. Austin is clout chasing, actually. That's probably more accurate.
may have looked
I'm
from the
farming.
outside looking in, it at least says something about how
Farming.
passionate he was that he was willing to wait tables and clean puke off of urinals so that he could focus on his writing. Over the 5 years following his graduation, in the beginning of his journey as a comedy writer, he published 3 books, all of which relied heavily on raunchy sexual humor. Unfortunately for Danny, these weren't successful, as he himself said about 6 people had read them. Probably an exaggeration, but still, his ambitions as a writer were not coming to fruition just yet. He promptly switched over to a different comedy format, man on the street style YouTube videos, provoking reactions from everyday people on the Las Vegas Strip. From asking leading questions like, would you eat a man's butt, or how big is your ding-a-ling, to extreme sign holding, where the crew held up signs reading, imagine your dad's peach, my son is gay, and is bad. Thematically, it was more of the same, but the delivery mechanism alone ensured that a lot more eyes would be drawn.
Seriously, Tom, you gotta censor the word rape. He gets on Danny about censoring himself, and I'm like, bro, you censor yourself too. It's about making money. What the fuck? You're doing the same exact thing.
into his work, with some of them now sitting at well over 1 million views.
Would you ever let a man lick your asshole?
Yes. Well, that.
Turkey Tom had to blur the
With
sign.
the newfound success of his videos, Danny decided to move to Los Angeles to go all in on YouTube and try and become a full-time comedian. To afford this, Danny would split the rent with 3 other friends and actually had a job lined up that unexpectedly
See, like,
fell through shortly after.
I didn't even know those first 2 guys. Like, obviously I recognized one of them, but the other 2, like, I didn't even know who they were. I don't even know how Turkey Tom found all these fucking video clips. I mean, I guess they're on Danny's channel, but I would never have the patience to go back through and find all this stuff. I'm still hard after unloading my cum to RDR Taco Bell, Brest, Texas in the bathroom. That's true. Rat Dick Ralph did titty fuck Rat Pussy Pam in a Taco Bell bathroom on stream.
after moving in. That didn't slow him down. If anything, it made him even more motivated to push out content. Fortunately for him, this is at a time when insanely inappropriate videos would still get monetized without too much issue, meaning he could realistically start living off of his content. One of the crazier examples of Danny being Andy Dick tier inappropriate with his comedy was when he, along with his recently recruited sidekick, Fan Jerry, decided to go around LA asking multiple men to expose their
Andy Dick is, yeah, it's like, Andy Dick tier is not touchable. Like, I don't even think Harvey Weinstein can touch Andy Dick tier, to be honest. Nobody is Andy Dick tier.
their penis to the camera, even going to a gay bar at one point to succeed at this quest. While the comments are mostly positive, this is really pushing the envelope. And some of the more negative comments claim that it bordered on sexual harassment, since a lot of these people were in regular public locations. However successful these videos were, it was a future upload titled Ruining My High School Reunion that really made Danny take off. In it, Danny crashes his high school reunion, gets completely hammered, makes a speech mocking a dead classmate, and calls the superlative class flirt a sucking champ. Unsurprisingly, these antics got him thrown out of the reunion, with one girl even mocking him on the way out for being rejected by girls during high school for having a small penis. Somewhat of a recurring theme for Danny even this early on. This is kind of crazy because these videos were coming out well after there was a massive movement on YouTube against prank channels going too far and crossing the line in order to secure some quality content. Clearly, this was not a factor for Danny, who was more than comfortable making everyone else uncomfortable if it meant he'd get a fire video out of it. Ethically questionable? Absolutely, but the entertainment value was undeniable. After this touch of viral success, Danny had a new addition to his crew, Leo D'Ottavio, a semi-successful actor whose resume includes being a contestant on The Bachelorette, getting kicked out of The Bachelorette spin-off series Bachelor in Paradise for fighting someone, and last but not least, Softcore. All on brand as far as Danny's content went, to be fair.
Yep.
Together, they
Yeah,
filmed a
that's
video
Leo.
rating UCLA, where both had graduated from, to harass students. The only problem is that besides having a resume, Leo also had a track record. Just a few months prior to the upload of the UCLA video, sexual harassment allegations involving him made their way to the news.
Let me show
Yo,
you how to do
I'm
something.
streaming right now.
Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good.
Prompting him to take a leave of absence from his regular job as a performer at Universal Studios' Waterworld exhibit.
I'm so locked
posted
in,
an
that made me
apologetic
jump.
note, though it was only apologetic in tone, since he
Low-key, I just had like a fucking Five Nights at Freddy's level jump scare. Leo D'Ottavio. I'm surprised he can't pronounce Leo's name. Like, his research is so in-depth, you know? He's found clips and shit that I didn't even know existed, but he can't pronounce Leo's name. Leo D'Ottavio. Leo's worst sin is being uncircumcised. Yeah, I mean, he was kind of flawed at birth. What the P is going on? What's up, Swolby? So Turkey Tom made like a Danny Mullen the downfall video, which kind of low-key means Danny's kind of pushing P. You know, when people are starting to make the downfall videos, it means you're actually kind of on the come up, because no one was making come up videos.
abjectly denied any allegation of harassment.
At least
and
people are
suggested
talking
that whatever
about it, you
misdeeds
know?
of his he did commit were under the influence of his culture, and that he wanted to treat women better. The accusations themselves were just Instagram stories posted by Becca Martinez, another
Gavin Rex will never downfall. He'll never have a downfall. Never, ever. The downfall of Austin? You'd have to come up first.
contestant of the Bachelor in Paradise show, displaying multiple people claiming to have had experiences with Leo and attesting to him being creepy to women who were barely legal, and sending multiple unwanted ding-a-ling pics.
Nothing's
All of this
changed.
began with a screenshot of a comment he left on a girl's post saying, and I quote, "You need my big ding-a-ling."
She did.
Does this qualify as harassment, or is this just El Riz? The brain rot is making me mentally handicapped. Well, more than usual. Leo responded to Becca by DMing her with a screenshot of someone accusing her of fondling them when they were 14, which Leo followed up with a message, what if everyone posted what they found on the internet? Clearly, this implied a threat to go after her in retaliation for having posted those things about him. Over the course of the next few messages, they went back and forth, with Leo claiming that the comment he supposedly left was just Photoshop, and that the girl who'd first posted it to Twitter took it down and apologized to him personally after he sent her a letter, whose contents are unspecified, at least in the messages Leo sent to Becca. These slander implications get reinforced in the last set of messages when Becca claims Leo threatened to to sue a girl for saying he'd sent 20 unsolicited salami pics to her. While there's no clear-cut evidence presented either way, according to the news coverage of this incident, Leo had lawyers request for a formal apology for the posts and for them to be taken down. And the latter was actually accomplished, though Becca has never retracted her claims. Again, just because the posts were successfully taken down, it doesn't prove they were...
It's so amazing to me that like 20-something years later, Leo commenting on a random girl's Instagram account, "You need my big dick," is like still relevant, still newsworthy. It'll never leave him alone. "You need my big dick." Like, Leo's got to sell a t-shirt or something at this point, bro. 20 unsolicited salami pics. I mean, if you've received the 15th salami pic and you haven't said stop yet, is it really unsolicited? Think about it.
Lies. Later on, TMZ managed to get an impromptu interview with Leo in which he was asked about one of the claims.
Have you ever sent any unsolicited pics, for lack of a better word?
What I did in college was college. I mean, I wouldn't say unsolicited, absolutely not.
But while some...
I'd say surprise. I would say surprise dick pics, not unsolicited. They were like gifts. You need my big P in a Turkey Tom video is hilarious. It's pretty fucking hilarious, dude. This is kind of the best thing ever. This is kind of awesome, not gonna lie. I was like hype when I saw it, dude. How is this related to Danny's downfall? It's just a hit piece. I think he's kind of just going through the entire history of like the channel and shit. It's more of like a documentary on Danny. I don't know. Turkey Tom is like friends with Brandon, and I'm sure if anybody that hangs out with Brandon, Brandon's just like, "Oh my god, Danny sucks. Danny sucks so much. And like, if you're friends with Brandon, you're gonna like take his word for it, you know. And Turkey Tom's never fucking met Danny. He's never talked to me or anybody else affiliated with it. So from his perspective, Danny probably is an asshole or whatever if you're friends with Brandon. Not that Brandon's going around talking shit all the time, but you'd probably think, right?
Some tremble at tummy tickling.
Who else
These
would he
claims
get his
didn't bother
information
Danny
from,
Mullen
you
at
know?
all. If anything, the controversial nature of his participation made having Leo in the video even more attractive to Danny. Despite how brief the fame of contestants in reality TV is, Leo was famous enough to be recognized multiple times by students and even asked to take photos.
Danny could have reacted to it better. Danny wouldn't watch this video to begin with. Leo DeTavio sent my terminally ill grandmother an unsolicited dick pic. Probably. Brandon didn't mention Danny on Dope Is Yola podcast. That was surprising. Well, it's because he's trying to move on and drop the whole thing. But he was probably like, "Yo, Turkey Tom, bro. You gotta get him. You gotta get him, bro." This is all correlated to Buck. He's friends with Turkey Tom. I mean, yeah, basically. This is like a Brandon video.
The chemistry between them was so great that the duo started a podcast together that's still ongoing as of the writing of...
Like, I don't know how much of this research Turkey Tom actually went and watched all of our videos and did all that stuff, or really Danny's videos. Not like I do much, but, well, on the podcast, I guess, but... Or if he was really just talking to Brandon. But the information in here is pretty impressive.
Of this video. Soon after, more crew members were added to Danny's whack pack, such as Inland Iggy, a fan of the videos who, for some strange reason, agreed to take part in a video in which he showed his penis, got whipped, and had tattooed Danny's initials on his chest. Another notable member of the pack was cameraman Nico, whose addition had to do with an increase in the overall production value of Danny's videos as his audience grew. In a lot of ways, Danny's success was inevitable. Not only were the videos well packaged in a format that was compatible with the algorithm, but it's worth mentioning we're talking about 2018, just months after Filthy Frank officially retired from making content, and a lot of...
Which was like peak YouTube, like Filthy Frank and iDubbbz and all those guys doing hair cake and shit. I still think that's like peak YouTube. That shit was fucking hilarious. Brandon acts like such a little girl, LMAO. He definitely gave all this information to Turkey Tom. Yeah, maybe, but also I don't think Turkey Tom's necessarily the type of guy to just like take everything someone says at face value. He's kind of been around the block when it comes to YouTube drama. He probably knows that Brandon's not completely being 100% honest, you know? Like, I feel like Turkey Tom's probably going to be like pretty fair. Though I only watched the first 10, 15 minutes of this.
Prank YouTubers had recently left. Danny came out of the woodwork and filled that void.
Also, it's pretty easy to make a video talking shit, making Danny look bad, since we do so much, like, kind of fucked up shit all the time.
To the best of his ability. The video that best proves that point is the one in which Danny, during an 8-hour road trip, partakes in the piss cycle, meaning he urinated
This video
in
is
a bottle
legendary.
and drank it. The worst part is that in retrospect, it didn't even get that many views compared to his other uploads.
He didn't explain this well enough. He didn't just piss in a bottle and drink it. He pissed in a bottle and drank it over and over and over and over again, all the way to San Francisco.
Involved a lot less sacrifice.
I actually
Fucking
came in
crazy.
here not for burgers, but to drink my own piss. This is urine.
I remember when this video came out, dude. I was like, what the fuck?
You approve of this?
Or a little less than 4 yes, but definitely not sad.
Despite how risky his content was, it was paying off. By mid-2019, Danny's
the high vibe.
Patreon had over 200 members. It's important to mention his Patreon page because, at least at the time, it had 4 tiers. The first 3 offering your usual subscription perks like getting exclusive content and appearing on the credits of videos, and a 4th one costing a whopping $3,000 called Release the Kraken, which would require Danny to fly out to wherever the fan was, get hammered with them, and use the resulting footage in his next video. In March of 2019, the result of this tier having been purchased was posted.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
The Kraken!
His channel as he traveled to Virginia to meet up with some fans, got drunk, shot guns, and rode a 700-pound pig in a mud pit. It's safe to say that his content being successful incentivized
awesome.
him to keep pushing the envelope as far as being offensive and generally inappropriate, which peaked around this time. For example, the use of the N-word was pretty common. However, these videos are nuked from his channel today.
You guys know where Jelly Boy Lagoon is? No idea. What about Moon Cricket Pond? What about Mountain?
Danny, I thought you were cool until you stopped saying it. Regardless,
Then why don't you say it, Turkey Tom? That's what I don't understand. It's like Danny isn't like fucking woke now. It's not like his opinions changed. He just doesn't want his videos to get demonetized and age restricted and his channel banned. It's the same reason why Turkey Tom blurred the word rape at the beginning of the video and he censors everything. Oh, I thought your videos were cool, Turkey Tom, when you used to not blur the word rape. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of a dumb argument when you're talking about censorship whenever you're censoring everything in your own video.
of how controversial he could be, his talent at comedy
about
was
making
evident,
money.
and in May, he landed a collaboration with Nelk, writing for and featuring in their video Fake Pilot at the Airport after briefly appearing as a guest in their Fake Waiter video. The pilot video, which is currently sitting at over 7 million views, got a lot more eyes on Danny, meaning there were new viewers flocking over to his channel just in time to catch hood classics like Drag Queens Terrorized San Francisco, I Had Sex with a Prostitute, and Kissing Gas Station Ladies. And I would force you to watch this last
Those are all classic videos, dude. Those are all really, really good videos.
one purely on account of how disgusting and cringe-inducing it is, but it would probably demonetize the video because the man is digging into these grannies like he's trying to find gold. As 2020 rolled around, the latest addition to the Danny Mullen crew was Rat Dick Ralph. And like every other member, he had to be thrown in with a good old humiliation ritual. He got his head shaved and tattooed, and as is
call it
customary,
hazing, but
exposed
okay.
his dangling to the camera. Notwithstanding, Ralph, along with everyone else, was subjected to the unsightly visage of Danny making out with Ralph's girlfriend.
Oh my
the
God.
aptly named Rat.
This is so
Damn.
big next
the
to my
crew just
face.
kept getting new members, as a now deleted video from 2020 features the first appearance of Sandrine, who has something of a checkered past herself. Besides being a mentally ill ex-Scientologist, she believed she'd reincarnated and was still in love with a man named Jack from her past life, who would be 70 years old at the time. Despite this, throughout her taking part in the videos, it was very clear she had an unhealthy obsession with Danny, which added to the feeling that Danny's content was something we shouldn't even be allowed to see. In one of Danny's videos, Fear and Loathing in the Trump Hotel, a parody of Hunter S. Thompson's book of the same name, her parents call Danny and try intervening.
Sharon, I understand you're upset that I made out with Sandrine.
She's a young lady that's had a lot of, heartbreak in her life.
Yeah, Sandrine is very, she's a late bloomer, I would call her. So she has to, she's delicate, in other words.
Yeah.
This did not have much success, since soon after they voiced their concerns for Sandrine, Danny began berating her parents for coddling her. Though it's done in an exaggerated and comedic fashion, it's clear that her parents were taking it very seriously. Against all odds, certifiably deranged people weren't the only.
Yeah, but what about when Sandrine was like, thank you, and hugged him afterwards? You know? Like, Sandrine, yes, her sort of obsession with Jack has sort of transmogged over to being a obsession with Danny. But Danny has actually really helped Sandrine, in my opinion, because he and Leo really were the ones that got her to stop just accepting every single thing that these crazy psychic ladies were telling her, and told her that she needed to move past Jack. And even if getting Sandrine to give up this Jack guy, even after his death and shit, to obsess over Danny, I still think that's probably more healthy than obsessing over Jack.
Only ones trying to associate themselves with Danny, as a few other established content creators came out of the woodwork to collab with him in whatever way they could. In summer of 2020, another person...
Sandrine was damn near 30 at the time. Yeah, she was 30 and living independently in Vegas, and her parents are acting like she's like a little girl. Danny wasn't even doing anything. I don't know, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Decided to buy Danny's Release the Kraken tier, Brandon Buckingham. At the time, Brandon was a school teacher at the end of his teaching contract, looking to change his career and branch into YouTube content. Being a fan of Danny, he decided to purchase the Kraken tier and start his channel off with a bang. They did their usual stuff in Brandon's hometown, terrorizing the...
Yeah, that's true, but also, like, Danny didn't really know that Brandon was, like, doing it to, like, launch his YouTube channel. Brandon filmed like 7 videos like ahead of time before they did this, and then started releasing them later. But I don't know, I think that was the main thing that kind of gave Danny a bad vibe, is that he just thought of it like as $3,000 for a super fan to like hang out with Danny for a weekend. And he didn't really like the idea of somebody paying money to like collaborate with him and like launch a YouTube channel as sort of like a clout chasey thing. Because he didn't want to just like sell his like name basically for $3,000, which I think is part of the reason why he got rid of it. I don't know.
The local population and encouraging Brandon to engage in risky behavior for the content, culminating in him drinking so much he nearly got arrested and...
See, that's not true. Brandon is just like any other super Danny Mullen fan, even like myself when I first joined the crew, where you think that what Danny wants you to do is be like hilarious and funny all the time, and that you need to be the craziest motherfucker, you gotta be the next Rat Dick Ralph, you gotta start drinking a shit ton and being insane. Danny doesn't even like that. And it's a bad sort of habit that fans who like hang out with us for the first time, they start always being in bit mode, even when we're not filming. So like Brandon was just trying to go above and beyond to like, you know, make the content as crazy and epic as possible and have the biggest video. It's not like Danny was like, Brandon, you should drink until you die, blah, blah, blah. I mean, maybe he was laughing about it and shit, but come on, Brandon was trying to put on a show. Like, that's basically what it was. He's not a victim that he drank a bottle of Jack Daniels. I don't even think Danny was really drinking back then.
was barely coherent by the video's end. Danny and Brandon's collab was a success, for the time being. While the year 2020 was peppered with extremely successful videos, no matter how controversial and risque the themes were, they at least were always intended to be taken in good fun. His audience had grown accustomed to Danny being generally inappropriate, however, they weren't as comfortable tolerating him attacking other content creators. The incident I'm referring to is when, at the tail end of 2020, Danny decided that being the de facto successor of Filthy Frank wasn't enough for him. He also had to play the role of content cop when he went out of his way to accuse a YouTuber called Balin Levine of being a carbon copy of another creator, Danny Duncan. The main issue here is that Danny presented this as a definitive call-out of Balin when the evidence of him being a plagiarist was reachy at best. For example, Danny suggested that Balin was only straight edge because Duncan was, almost as if he forgot that the average person isn't huffing jankum on the regular like he and his friends are. What really added fuel to the fire was that Balin was significantly younger and smaller on the platform.
Everyone deserves the fastest, most reliable.
I don't know, that video was kind of just jokes.
Regardless of where they live. With
than Mullen.
Balin Levine was blatantly ripping off Danny Duncan. And, like, Danny never actually hated Balin Levine. Danny was just kind of joking the whole time. He never really gave a fuck. And, also, this is about where I stopped watching the video. He's about to say something about how, like, Danny's fans were, like, mad that he, like, was talking shit about Balin, but I don't think that everyone thought that shit was hilarious. Like, all of Danny's fans were also making jokes about Balin and thought the video was funny. I don't know where all this like hate.
At least at the time, since
I mean,
nowadays
maybe
Balin
people
is
were
much
hating
larger.
on it.
This
I just
contributed
remember
to
it
the
being a
general
meme.
public perception that he was gratuitously punching down, after all.
I'm pretty sure most fans liked that video. Danny stopped making those kind of videos, but this is literally what Turkey Tom does in every single one of his videos. Turkey Tom's like, and Danny, when he stepped away from being a comedian, he decided just to wanted to be a content cop ripoff. What the fuck is this other than a content cop ripoff? I don't understand. It's like every single thing that Turkey Tom like accuses Danny of doing is like stuff that Turkey Tom is currently doing in this video. It doesn't... I'm really confused, actually.
Even if Balin was copying Danny Duncan, most, if not all, YouTubers copy others' swag when they're trying to grow their channel. The audience's reaction was extremely negative, which set a precedent. While Danny did not get in trouble for the things he did in the videos, regardless of how crazy some of it might be.
See, where was this like crazy negative reaction? I don't remember that at all. Does anybody remember that?
He did get in trouble for the things he did when he went out of character, so to speak, particularly in regards to how he treated other content creators. In 2021, Brandon Buckingham moved to LA, supposedly when
other content creators. Oh, you mean just Brandon Buckingham. It's like if Danny has a good relationship with every single content creator he's ever worked with, and there's only one guy who he had a problem with, then maybe it's the guy. You know, maybe it's the one content creator that was the issue. There's nobody else is fucking beef with us. It doesn't even make any sense. I don't know what. We have a good relationship with like everybody, and then there's a lot of people that fuck with us that just don't publicly say they fuck with us because they don't want to be canceled.
When Leo asked him to move in with him for a month. Leo eventually came to deny that this happened, claiming that the other guy he was living with at the time, Jacob, was the one who invited Brandon. Brandon eventually provided footage of both men being present to pick Brandon up from the airport, along with text message evidence proving there was plenty of foreknowledge.
I'm going to fly. How long are you staying? I'll give you a week at my place, but otherwise money, cool, expensive place.
Leo eventually came to deny that this happened, claiming that the other guy he was living with at the time, Jacob, was the one who invited Brandon.
I don't even know if Brandon ever actually paid Leo rent or not.
Footage of both men being present to pick Brandon up from the airport, along with text message evidence proving that
I'm going to fly into LA February 15th around 11 p.m. Yeah, Brandon sent this text message to like everybody in the crew. And then Brandon was like, yo, I'm filming this video with Iggy, you should come, because Iggy's gonna be there. And then he would be like, yo, Iggy, I'm filming this video because, and Austin's gonna be there, or blah, 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 you should all come. So then we all show up, and then we're all like, yo, Brooks, I came because he said you were here. And then Brooks was like, what, I came because he said you were here. And he was like, I came because he said you were here. And it was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then we all met Brandon that day. And we ended up fucking with him, you know, because he was cool, but it was kind of... He was, like, really planning, like, I'm coming to Los Angeles, I'm going to get everybody in Danny's thing to collaborate with me. Like, we didn't even know him, really. I had talked to him a couple times in DMs.
Of him coming to Los Angeles. Additionally, Leo...
LOL, I'm only staying for 5 days.
Approached Brandon with the idea
that was
of
the
starting
first
a channel
time he
together
came.
called the Man Bun Boys, which Buckingham turned down.
I think the Man Bun Boys thing was a joke. Like, I think Leo and Brandon were probably like, yo, maybe we could start a second podcast or something further down the line because, you know, they fucked with each other and Brandon was cool. But I'm pretty sure the Man Bun thing was a joke because, like, who the fuck would call it that? That doesn't even make any sense.
Somehow, this also became a point of contention between them, as Leo claimed he'd only done this as a joke. As Brandon began pumping out content in LA, Danny somehow got the idea that this was Brandon trying to be the next Danny Mullen.
Because it was like Brandon basically filming Danny Mullen style videos. I mean, their content is very different now, but at the time it was basically a Danny video with Leo and Brooks and everybody else from Danny's crew. It was kind of a Danny Mullen video without Danny. That's like kind of what it was. And like it didn't matter because like, you know, we were all friends with Danny, so we're all gonna kind of make videos in that same style, which makes sense. We're fans of him too, like Brandon was. But I mean, they were kind of fucking Danny videos without Danny.
And that he would not tolerate. To try and slow Brandon's growth
Not
down,
tolerate.
Danny started asking all of his friends.
Here, I'll go back. This is where the stuff really starts getting wrong.
In LA, Danny somehow got the idea that this was Brandon trying to be the next Danny Mullen, and that he would not tolerate. To try and slow Brandon's growth down, Danny started asking all of his friends not to collaborate with Brandon on anything. This was...
See, that's two claims there. The first claim is that this was to slow Brandon's growth down. No, he didn't have any intention of, like, Brandon is growing in content too fast. I need to, like, hurt his career. Danny just didn't like the idea that he was being, like, used by somebody. He felt like somebody was using his name to, like, clout chase. And he didn't tell all of his friends to stop filming with Brandon. It was me and Leo. And he didn't tell me to. He just asked me if I would mind not filming with Brandon for a little while. Until Brandon kind of made it on his own as a YouTuber. And wasn't just trying to, like, use all of Danny's crew members to, like, launch a YouTube career. Because you could say, like, Brandon was just friends with all of us. And it's like, yeah, but he became friends with all of us because he wanted to use us in his videos in order to get views on YouTube. So, like, objectively, Danny's, like, not wrong, right? And it was just me and Leo. He was like, hey, Austin, would you mind not filming with Brandon for a little bit? I feel like he's just trying to use my name to, like, launch a YouTube channel. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't even make YouTube videos. And maybe I would make, like, 1 or 2, whatever, in the next couple months with Brandon, if that. So if Danny just wanted me to go a couple months without filming with Brandon, then that's fine, you know, then we could just hang out with him again. And Danny was totally cool with that. Because, like, me and Leo were like, nah, bro, he's a cool guy. It's like, yeah, he's a little desperate because he quit his teaching job, and he's trying to, like, make it on YouTube, and there's a lot of pressure, you know, and he's doing what he can, but genuinely he's a fan of you, and he's cool. Danny just got the wrong vibe. They didn't really click well whenever they met each other in the place. But it was just me and Leo. He didn't tell Brooks not to film with Brandon. He didn't tell Iggy not to film with Brandon. He didn't tell anybody not to film with Brandon. The only one he really told, I think, was Leo. But he just asked me not to. I don't even know. See, it's just like, is a blacklist really 2 people? Especially when I wasn't even a YouTuber at the time. I just did Danny's podcast for him as, like, a videographer, basically.
It was particularly egregious of Danny since he knew Brandon had taken a major risk in leaving his hometown and career path in order to live in Los Angeles.
But that's on Brandon. That's like the guy that run up to Logan Paul and is like, Logan Paul, I quit my job and I came all the way to California. Can I work for you, bro, as your assistant? And then Logan Paul's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's not my fault. I didn't tell you to fucking quit your job and come all the way over here and do all this bullshit. You know, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like, I'm not responsible for the fact that you quit your teaching job and you came out here and you wanted to make it as a YouTuber. You paid me $3,000 to hang out with you for a day. I let you hang out with me for 2 videos instead of 1 because I'm cool. And then, like, that's just not... Like, you could say Danny's an asshole for whatever reason, but it's not his responsibility to, like, Brandon quit his job and he's trying to make it. It's like, it's not really his... Like, it's true, like, me and Leo felt bad for him, but it's like, you can't hold someone else accountable for that.
One of the most expensive cities in the US to try and be a YouTuber, only to be blacklisted by a major figure.
Everyone in the crew is under strict...
Blacklisted by a major figure. One, we're not a major figure. We're pretty fucking obscure. There's a million YouTubers in LA, and it was me and Leo DeTavio. I think Danny was jealous. He wasn't jealous. He just thought that Brandon was, like, using him. Like, everybody has this, like, no, Danny actually thought this. Well, Danny actually thought this. Oh, no, the situation's actually this. It's like, no, I've talked to the guy. Right? And he explained to me what his problem was with Brandon at the time. And it was that he thought he was trying to launch a YouTube career off of his name, and that he was using Danny and all of his crew members and friends and stuff that he established in order to like make it as a YouTuber. And you could say, and Danny even admitted that he shouldn't have done what he did, right? And that he should have just taken me and Leo's word for it and just given Brandon a chance because he was a big fan of him. But then it was when Brandon fucking did all the other shit and sprayed Danny with mayonnaise and started acting like a psychopath that then that bridge was burnt. We were basically cool. We were like, yo, so you think we could like work with Brandon again in the future? And Danny's like, yeah, I don't really have a problem with it or whatever. It's kind of in the past. And then all of a sudden, Danny and Leo and Brandon were in Austin at the same time, and Brandon just couldn't help himself from doing the mayo thing. And I guess you could say in the long term, it probably helped Brandon out. But it was completely unnecessary. Like, if he never did that, we would probably all just be chill. Like, we would probably all be making videos together, and it would be cool. But maybe for Brandon, it did work out, actually.
Strict orders that they cannot be seen online with Brandon or film with Brandon any longer. I'm blacklisted. I'm out. Nixed. Boom. Film with Brandon. Crew is under strict orders that they cannot be...
Only to be blacklisted by a major figure.
Under strict orders? Danny never gave me orders. He just said, hey, like, it would make me feel more comfortable if we just didn't film with Brandon for, like, a little while until he kind of starts doing his own thing. And then we can collaborate with him as, like, equals. But not that Brandon needed to have equal subscribers, but just that, like, you know, like, fellow YouTubers instead of, like, some guy who's trying to, like, neon his way into success, you know?
Bigger.
Everyone in the crew is under strict orders that they...
Which Brandon was really just, like, a super huge fan of Danny. And he's kind of, like, an autistic, like, planner and stuff like that. So he had, like, a pretty good, like, overall plan. And then even the making a video canceling Danny, Brandon would be at my house and he would be like, bro, oh, Danny's so lucky I don't make like a content cop style video just like destroying him. He wouldn't even know how to respond, like blah blah. I doubt he even would respond. But I'm cool, so I would never do that. But I could. And then he did it.
They cannot be seen online with Brandon or film with Brandon any longer. I'm blacklisted. I'm out. Nixed. Boom. Danny dropped the hammer on me. Just like that.
At the time, Brandon barely had 10,000
Wasn't that
subscribers,
serious?
highlighting just how drastic it was for Danny, who was 50 times bigger.
Brandon just had 12,000 subscribers. Yeah, but all 12,000 of those subscribers were like Danny fans. Or like he like launched the whole YouTube channel with the like yes, he had videos on his channel from like a long time ago, like from school projects and shit. But like Brandon started his YouTube channel with the Danny video, like with the collab. It wasn't like two YouTubers collaborating on like an equal project. Like Brandon wasn't even a YouTuber really until he did the video with Danny. Like Brandon made 7 videos ahead of time that he never posted to YouTube, 6 or 7. And then he waited until he released the Kraken, and then for 7 weeks posted a video every single week while living on like Leo's couch. He had all this like pre-made content as this like mega omega like clout chase move where I'm gonna pay $3 grand, film with Danny, go to LA, film these videos, launch the videos every week. Do. And it's like, low key, it's kind of ingenious and it is a good plan. But to say that it wasn't, like to say that it was some organic fucking 2 YouTubers collaborating and then Danny tried to like fuck him over is totally not true.
Bigger to make the decision to completely blacklist him. This was reminiscent of his random beef with Balin, in a way, though this...
See, like, look how Brandon's all like in Danny's face, shouting, drunk. Danny didn't fuck with him. Like, at the end of the day, he made a really bad first impression. If you watch those first 2 videos of Brandon, like, hanging out with Danny and Leo for the first time, it's like, you can kind of tell Danny didn't really fuck with the guy. Like, it's just kind of how it is. I mean, just look at his face. Look how dissatisfied Danny looks right now. Like, Brandon's all breathing in his neck.
Decision to
This is
complete.
something that I just know would make Danny incredibly uncomfortable. Like, Danny would not want
This was
someone this
reminiscent
close
of
in
his
his
random
face,
beef
like
with
all
Balin,
over
in a
him,
way,
like
though this
talking
was
on
much
him
more
like that.
egregious since Brandon wasn't just a fan of his content. He'd actually
It's like Brandon was being a little too extra to try to make the video as good as possible, which is cool. Like, everybody's been there. Everybody that's associated with the channel has been there. And it's hard to... Sometimes a first impression with somebody just doesn't go exactly the way you want it to, you know? Heard that was the narrative after the first collab as well. Danny was paid off by him, but 3K is 3K. Well, yeah, you got to release the Kraken for 3K. But as Turkey Tom mentioned at the beginning of the video, like, the release the Kraken, the first one was just with the Virginia boys. They were just huge fans of Danny. They had no other preconceived notions and plans put out to, like, make it as YouTubers. They were just like, yo, we want to hang out with Danny for 3,000. That was kind of the point. Brandon kind of turned the release of Kraken into something that it wasn't ever really supposed to be. And that kind of just didn't sit well with Danny. And that's unfortunate, you know. Like, I wish Danny would have taken a liking to Brandon more and be chill. But now that bridge is already kind of burnt. I mean, maybe in the future. I don't think either of them are really that peeved about it anymore, but... If anyone, Leo's mad because his fucking... Brandon took it too personal with the blowjob shit. That was kind of fucked up. I don't think you can ever really look past that. That's not just like YouTube bullshit. That's like, yo, that's my girlfriend, you know?
actually dished out $3,000 to
Why
get
you
a
fucking
collab
with my
with him.
relationship?
Buckingham reached out directly to Danny to try and resolve the matter, but was told that the decision of not allowing the crew to work with him was final. According to Brandon, Leo was offered a 6-figure salary.
Let me know if there was a time you're available. I genuinely apologize and feel like I stepped on your toes. No, I'm busy. The last thing I want to do is reflect negativity on your channel. Yeah, so this was like after the comedy show thing happened, where like Brandon showed up when they were doing the open mic practice thing, and Danny thought that Brandon was trying to punk him or confront him or something, so Danny didn't show up. And then I think I told Brandon, like, yo, you should just send a message to Danny apologizing. Because it was like, this is the timeline, right? Danny asked me, yo, would you mind not filming with him for a little while? And then, like, we can start working with him, you know? And I was like, cool. And then time was passing, things were going well. Brandon went home, he was still making videos. He comes back, he's staying at Leo's place. Leo's like, you can chill with me, just don't cause me any problems with Danny. Like, Danny's this close to being cool, and he likes that you're doing your own content and that you're making your own videos, and we're like this close to everything being P. And then Danny wants to go practice doing stand-up because he's only done stand-up like 1 or 2 times at this point. So he's going to like an open mic where it's literally like 5 comedians, there's like no audience. And Leo's like, Brandon, don't go. Like, you're not invited. Do not come. Because I don't want you... Like, you're staying at my house. I don't want you... Like, Danny to be, like, pissed that you're here or anything and just make things weird. So just don't come. Brandon's like, okay. Fine. And then he goes on Johnny Mitchell's podcast, and then Johnny Mitchell invites him to the same thing. And then Brandon's like, oh, well... I know Leo told me not to come, but Johnny invited me, so I'm gonna come. And then I went to, and I was there, and then Leo's like, yeah, Danny's not gonna come. He just doesn't want to anymore. And then I'm talking to Brandon, I'm like, yeah, that is a little weird. Like, I don't know why he's like, wouldn't, like, he would leave over you being here, but, you know, whatever. And then Leo was like really pissed at Brandon and was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I told you not to be here. And then, because Leo like sends a message to Danny. It's something like, yo, like, I told Brandon not to come. He's staying with me, but he's like refusing to leave. And he's here, just so you know. Because Leo didn't want Danny to show up and be like, surprise, Brandon's here to like confront you. Though Brandon, he's like, I just want to talk things out, you know, make it cool. Like, that's what he's telling me, which probably was true. But from Danny's perspective, it's like, okay, this guy's trying to, like, punk me with a camera or fuck with me. Like, I'm just trying to practice a stand-up thing. I'm just not going to go today. And then that kind of cemented in Danny's mind, like, okay, this guy's, like, trying to fuck with me. And that's when I was like, Brandon, you should apologize. Brandon sent this message to Danny. Danny's like, I appreciate it, but nah, like, I am not fucking with you no longer. Because you're, like, showing up at places that I'm supposed to show up at, trying to, like, confront me, and I don't fuck with that. So that's basically what happened there.
Matter, but was told that the decision of not allowing the crew to work with him was
all right, brother, just to clarify, because I genuinely don't want to go against your wishes.
final. According to Brandon, Leo was offered
don't want me on camera with
a six-figure,
and then he cuts out with, and it probably just said Leo, because otherwise it would say the crew
salary just so that he didn't film with him. A pretty extraordinary length to go to just to gatekeep a guy. However, Leo allegedly,
I don't know. I don't think Leo makes that much money. I don't think that's true. But I don't know. And to gatekeep a guy, that's not really what that was. It's more of like, Leo's like, yeah, man, but I wanted to collaborate with Brandon because I kind of want to do my own thing and make more money. And like, maybe if me and him did like a podcast, or if I did this or that. And Danny's like, okay, you know what? We're making a lot more money than... He's like, I'm making a lot more money than I used to. I really fuck with Leo. We're a great team. All right, Leo, if you're like down to like lock in with me, I'll pay you more money. Because that's fair. Because they do. Because like Leo's in like every video. And since then, Leo has more responsibilities. Leo's like in charge of the podcast. And a bunch of other stuff. It was kind of like, Danny's like, okay, yeah, Leo's not just this guy that appears in my videos anymore. Leo is like my partner, and he needs to be paid like a fair amount of money to make it worth his time to like do this and take it seriously and not feel like he needs to worry about doing these other things. And that's more of what it was. He kind of just put Leo like on the payroll. I don't think it was, I gotta gatekeep this guy. He probably makes six figures. He could, but I don't know. I mean, Leo has his investments and shit and all, but that's a lot of money. Couch was trash. I always hated that dude. I can tell he's a scumbag. Couch is cool. He's just young. He's like 19 when he moved out here, you know? So like, you're gonna be a little immature or whatever when you're younger. He's chilled out a lot more now. I've heard Brandon talk about Jesus. He doesn't seem godless, that's for sure. Nah, Brandon's Christian.
They went around Danny's back trying to get them that if he were to pass Danny in subs, they could work together again. Pretty lame and opportunistic move from Leo if true. However,
what the hell was going on with the audio there? Not that I'm one to complain about audio issues, but was that my computer or was that the video?
Behind the scenes, you an opportunity trying to get them to go to just to gatekeep a guy. However, Leo allegedly went around Danny's back and told Buckingham that if he were to pass Danny in subs, they could work together again. Pretty lame and opportunistic move from Leo if true. However, most of this was kept under wraps as behind the scenes YouTuber drama until Brandon went to a comedy event that Danny was performing at. I hear from
it wasn't behind the scenes YouTuber drama that was kept under wraps. I mean, that's kind of true, but really it was like Danny's like, listen, I don't want to like publicly make Brandon look bad. I don't want to turn the fans against him. I just kind of don't like the fact that I feel like he's using me for content. So I just want to kind of distance a little bit. Let him kind of do his own thing, and then we can collaborate more on like equal playing field as like fellow like creators. And the reason why Danny didn't want to talk about it publicly was like not to cover his own ass or anything. It was really that he didn't want to like start a beef with Brandon, because he didn't really have beef with him. He just wanted to like take a step back and slow his roll, you know, on joining the crew and everything. Like Danny described it as joining the crew through the back door. Like, instead of going through Danny, instead it's like going through me and through Brooks and becoming friends with, like, Cigar Guy and Leo. And then now you're part of the crew, even though Danny kind of barely knows who you are because he's only met you twice. Inserting himself with 4K. Yeah, entering the crew through the back door is kind of... It makes sense, you know? Because Danny and Brandon had only ever actually seen each other during the Release the Kraken. It was the Release the Kraken, and then the next time they ever saw each other was when Brandon mayoed him in the face. So it's like, how can you be like that mad at a guy that you've only really met like one time?
Leo, when Leo and I are on the way to an open mic. It was gonna be me, Leo, and Johnny Mitchell working out some material. Not a show, not a public event, just the three of us trying to get better. Leo texts me, hey, Brandon came into town, did Johnny Mitchell's podcast, and is now headed to this open mic.
It's really funny because you get to hear firsthand how much of a manipulative weirdo Danny is. It's at the Fourth Wall Comedy Club. He says it's not a show, not a public event, but somehow I'm there with 5 other friends who are not performing. Keep that.
Yeah, but that's because it was like fucking me, Leo, Kaush, and Chase. And we were all there for Leo and Johnny, but it still wasn't a show. Like, you don't pay for tickets. It's like you pay $10 to go on stage in front of a few comedians. Like, anybody that's gone to an open mic knows what I'm talking. Like, there was nobody there besides comedians and a few friends of comedians that were just chilling. And Leo had already told him not to come. So it's like, you can't act like, oh, this is some public event, like I really wanted to go. It was like, yeah, I mean, technically, I don't even know if technically it is public or not. They could probably just tell you to leave if you're not going to pay for stage time unless you're, like, there with somebody. I don't even know. Maybe you could just hang out. But the point is, he was already told not to go. It's just weird to, like, go somewhere when someone already asked you. Someone that you're living on their couch for, like, a week. You know, like, you're coming into LA to chill. The guy that is hosting you is asking you, hey, just don't come to this one thing today, all right? And then you still have to go. It's like, bro, come on, that's your fault.
That in mind.
Danny proceeded to pull out of the open mic just because Brandon was going to show up, claiming that he felt he was being stalked.
Yeah, stalked, or felt like Brandon was trying to punk him and like do like a YouTube gotcha or like a prank on him.
Though he's
or just like confront him. Like, he didn't know. He was like, this guy's up to something. He's got like something planned. Like, there's a reason why he showed up knowing that I'm gonna be there. At least that was the perspective Danny had. Brandon's perspective is like, I just wanted to hang out with everybody, and I didn't want to feel like I had to leave just because Danny was coming. And it's like, okay, but it really wasn't your thing to begin with.
Never admitted to this. It could be that Brandon made him feel insecure, and given that open mic nights are where you go to iron.
Insecure? I'm a 22-year-old white girl. Danny's insecure. It's all just insecurity.
I fucking hate that. Stop saying that word. It doesn't... You're insecure. You could say that to anybody about anything. It's fucking retarded.
Airing out your rough
It doesn't
comedy
mean
material.
anything.
This makes a lot of sense.
It's like, it's literally double talk. It's like stupid. Or double speak.
You wouldn't want the guy you have static with, along with his 5 friends, in the audience as you try stuff out that might not be funny. Just to make it clear, it apparently wasn't Brandon's idea to go to this open mic just because Danny was there. He was invited by Johnny Mitchell, a podcast.
After Leo told him not to come. That's the important thing. That's the thing that's always conveniently left out.
Who happened to be friends with both of them. However, once Johnny found out that Danny didn't want Brandon there, he too turned against Brandon and tried to tell him he shouldn't be there, and that he'd never even invited him in the first place. Brandon eventually went through the effort of finding the exact moment during a podcast in which Johnny said he should attend the event, and commented on the video with a timestamp to prove it. Johnny's response was to DM Brandon, not acknowledging that he'd been caught in a lie, telling Brandon he should take his comment down, and telling him he was blacklisting himself.
Brandon was still told not to show up even before all that anyways.
In the wake of this incident, Leo, with whom Brandon was living during the beginning of his stay in LA, kicked Brandon.
Or possibly Johnny Mitchell invited him, and then Brandon was like, I'm gonna go to this thing, and then Leo was like, actually, bro, don't go. Danny's gonna be there. I don't want to cause any like problems. He's just trying to practice his comedy, and you're staying at my house, like, just chill. And even if that is the case, it's like, still, dude, if the guy that's hosting you is like, bro, just don't come to this event, just don't go. Like, don't make a big deal about it. Like, it doesn't, like, a guy's like, you're flying into another state with a dude that you only kind of don't know that well. You're cool, you know, and he's asking you, just don't come to this thing. It's not that big of a deal. Danny should have been more chill. Danny didn't do anything. Danny just decided not to go. And it wasn't like Danny was a no-show at a comedy show. It was like comedy practice. It was like Danny didn't go to a day of improv practice or acting class, but not a class. Like, literally, like you pay $10 and then you go on stage and you practice your set and then you leave. And Danny was like, okay, I'm just not gonna show up. It's like, well, Danny could have still came. Like, yeah, I guess. But that's not, who cares? He just decided not to go. You know, it's really not that big of a deal. Unrelated, but Miss Neeks. Kelvin's cool, but he ain't no Villa Cressus. Kelvin's awesome, but Nico is fucking something else, man.
Out of his house in a pretty heated exchange. They both have stories about how this went down. During Leo and Danny's podcast about the topic,
I need to open this door to like the outside. It's getting really fucking warm in here.
Leo recounts it with a particular emphasis on him telling Brandon that he'd never be as good as Danny, followed by threats of physical violence. Not only does this feel a lot like Leo trying to make himself sound cool and badass, but it also comes off as him glazing Danny. On the other hand, Brandon says the "you'll never be better than Danny Mullen" comment never happened.
I missed that.
Instead, on the other hand, trying to make himself sound Danny, followed by threats of physical violence. Not only does this feel a lot like Leo trying to make himself sound Danny, followed by Leo recounts it with a particular emphasis on him telling Brandon that he'd never be as good as Danny, followed by threats of physical violence. Not only does this feel a lot like Leo trying to make himself sound cool and badass, but it also comes off as him glazing Danny. On the other hand, Brandon says the "you'll never be better than Danny Mullen" comment never happened. Instead, he claims that Leo mocked his dead brother, which again, if true, is really scummy behavior. Additionally, Brandon confirms that Leo made threats, but extends that story to include the fact that he agreed to fight Leo on any set of rules, jiu-jitsu, MMA, etc.
Like, this shit is all retarded. He said this, he said that. No, I didn't say. Who gives a shit? Literally, who gives a shit? That's like retarded.
Etc. Even suggesting that they make it into a video.
I hate commentary videos. You know, I think it's kind of cool that, like, you know, the fucking Turkey Tom is making a Danny Mullen video. It's kind of a gamer W, but at the same time, he's like the only commentary channel that I find like somewhat tolerable, because low-key I just like hate commentary videos.
Only for Leo to say he'd only agree to box, and only if it wasn't recorded. After a long period of being nothing but nice to Brandon, once it became convenient to antagonize him, Leo went the extra mile. While Danny just blacklisted him among his own friends, Leo went out of his way to talk to people.
Not true. He didn't blacklist him. I guess it was just Leo, and then he asked me if I would mind not filming with him for a little bit. And I just said, yeah, that's cool. But Danny didn't fucking say, I'm gonna fire you or nothing like that. He didn't even say you have to. He was like, would you mind? Like, I'm just like, he's making me like, the whole situation is just kind of uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Temporary. Danny wasn't ever gonna tell me I couldn't do something like that.
In Brandon's social circle just to spread as many negative things about him as possible.
He was kind of just like, as homies, like, this guy I feel like is like clout chasing me, bro. And I'm like, all right.
Possible. From saying he's creepy around women.
Danny single-handedly banned Brandon from all of Los Angeles. Every single person in LA has a kill on sight order for Brandon Buckingham. It's like some Naruto Shippuden type shit. I'm gonna point my fan at myself real quick. It is so hot. It's true, Sam. I don't like Brandon, but he have no reason to collab with less popular creators. I mean, there are way more popular creators and less popular creators than just us on the Danny Mullen regime. But apparently Danny has the power to ban him from everyone. Gavin Newsom helped put the paperwork. He's banned. Yep, banned from LA. He's right about Leo being the only person he does video with now. Mostly Leo is gay. But that's because Leo is like now like a proper partner and employee with Danny instead of just some guy who's like in a lot of Danny's videos. Like Leo gets paid like a salary and takes it seriously, and he's in charge of the podcast channel. Like their business relationship is different now as it was to then, you know.
And a bum who mooched off of him and was doing it to others. This came to a head when, a while after Brandon had already left LA and was in Texas, he got the news that Danny was coming to Austin to shoot a video. Specifically, Brandon got this news from a mutual acquaintance of theirs called Nerdballer, who decidedly stayed neutral on their squabble, despite Danny doing his best to convince him Brandon was a creepy stalker whom he should never even interact with. The conflict finally boiled over.
That's also some he said, she said shit. Like, I think Danny even said that's not true. And low-key, Danny being like, yo, just so you know, Nerdballer, you're my homie. I think this Brandon guy is a cloud chaser, so just, like, watch out for him, you know? I just got bad vibes. Even if that's the case, 2 days later, Brandon, like, delayed his flight, got a mayonnaise and squirted Danny in the face, and, like, zeroed in on his location, and did the psycho, stalker, weirdo, YouTube clout chaser behavior Danny was talking about. So it's like, even if Danny did say that to Nerdballer, he was right, you know? Because Brandon literally proved him right like 5 minutes later. So like, if Brandon never did all that shit and just went back home and was like, Danny's talking shit, then yeah, that's fine. But Danny was not just talking shit, he was actually giving Brandon a warning. I mean, giving Nerdballer a warning. Because look at anybody else who is associated with Brandon, besides like Turkey Tom and a couple other people. Like, Brandon is a notorious bridge burner and is gone psycho and made a diss track on like 14 fucking people and said, fuck Gideon, fuck this person, fuck that person. So Danny was right. It's like, yo, just so you know, if you fuck with this guy, he's probably gonna go psycho on you. Because he's crazy. Sure enough, he's basically gone psycho on, like, everybody he's associated with. Has Brandon chilled out a lot now? Yeah. And I think part of that is that Brandon has money. He has stability. He's not so fucking, oh shit, I quit my job. Everything is super desperate and, like, intense. Because, like, that would be fucking really intense, and you would feel really fucking desperate at that point, you know? You feel like everybody that doesn't want to help you succeed is trying to destroy you financially and make you homeless. When really, sometimes people just don't want to, like, hang out with you. You know what I'm saying? And I think now he's kind of got his shit together, but at least he got his boyfriend to make a video about it.
When Brandon, armed with a handy...
No, I'm not really hating on Turkey Tom.
To improvise another...
I like Turkey Tom. Like, the only reason why I saw this video is because I'm subscribed to Turkey Tom and it showed up in my sub box. And I was like, oh, new Turkey Tom video. And then I was like, wait a minute. 30 minutes of... Wait a minute. Danny Mullen. I was like, what the fuck?
Their collaboration with Danny during his shoot.
I'm gonna mayo this man.
I'm gonna mayo this man.
What's up, bitch?
See, and like, look at Nerdballer. Nerdballer is here. He is with Danny. They are hanging out as friends. They are filming a video together. Brandon Buckingham is in Austin. Friends with Nerdballer. Nerdballer is probably giving him a place to crash, right? Nerdballer probably told Brandon, hey bro, I'm hanging out with Danny. Whatever you do, don't come to this event. Don't start a scene. Don't do nothing crazy. Just like Leo asked him not to do. And Brandon's like, nah, I'm gonna show up anyways. Because I'm fucking crazy. And not only that, I'm gonna like assault a guy over a YouTube video that I've only met like one time, that I paid $3,000 to hang out with me. And then I'm gonna try to like fight him. Or I'm gonna try to get him to fight me so that I can swing back over a fucking stupid YouTube drama. Because that's what happens next. Brandon's like, come at me, bro, swing, swing. He's egging, instead of just punching Danny in the face, Brandon's like, I'm gonna squirt him with mayonnaise, so I'm not, like, technically, like, super assaulting him, but maybe I can piss Danny off enough to try to fight me, and then I can use self-defense to try to, like, get my licks in, because I'm so fucking angry at this guy that I've only met one time because I paid $3,000 to hang out with him. And fucking Nico behind the camera is sending ninja kicks and fucking defending off Brandon, while Brandon's literally trying to just manipulate fucking self-defense law in order to fight people. He's like, I'm gonna get his... And actually, if Danny did fight him, Brandon would probably be the one in trouble, because spraying the mayonnaise is assault. Like, at the end of the day, it sounds retarded, but that would have been considered, like, the first act of aggression. Danny probably would have had free will just to start, like, fighting him. But there was, like, why would I? Like, that's actually, like, retarded. You know what I mean? So nobody really fought anybody. Nico did a couple Nico ninja kicks. But still, the whole situation's crazy. And to think that, like, Brandon is somehow, like, the hero in this situation and not just, like, some crazy YouTube fan who is, like, so obsessed with Danny that he paid $3,000 to try to, like, become his friend and launch a YouTube video. And then when it didn't work out, he tracked him down in Austin, sprayed mayonnaise in his face, and then tried to egg him into a fight, and then got tackled by LAPD. But he's the W holder because he made a fucking content cop stupid YouTube video and convinced a bunch of 12-year-olds that Danny's, like, an asshole. When maybe Danny's an asshole, but Brandon's literally insane. Because this is what insane people do. I would never... LAPD in Austin, true. But I would never do this. I would never be like, oh, fucking Zerka won't film with me again. I'm gonna go find his location and try to get him to fight me. And I would die. But actually, no, against Zerka, I might have a chance, you know. I might have a chance against Zerka. But still, like, it's actually kind of crazy behavior. And I don't understand how any, like, mature adult thinks that what Brandon did is, like, normal or okay. Now, it's been, like, 3 years or something, so it kind of doesn't really matter. It's only relevant because Brandon got his boyfriend to make a video bringing it up again, trying to, like, shit on Danny because he doesn't want to directly look like he's still crying about Danny, like, all these years later. Because, you know, Brandon, at the end of the day, probably wishes that he could make this video himself again. But it's like, guys, come on. I don't care what anyone says. This shit's fucking insane, bro. And, like, I was friends with Brandon. I was cool. I never in a million years thought he would fucking do this. This shit was pretty gangster, though. I don't know. It's kind of petty and, like, pussy shit, honestly, to try to spray someone's face with mayonnaise and then try to get them to fight you. Like, if you were really mad at Danny and you just wanted to fight him, then just, like, punch him in the face, you know? Or, like, actually try to fight him. Don't try to, like, get a guy as angry as you possibly can to try to get them to fight you just so that you can, like, that's kind of like a taboo, you know? It's kind of weirdo behavior. It's like, if you want to fight someone, just fight them. But that's what people do all the time, like, swing, swing, swing. That's essentially what was happening there.
What's good? Hey, let's go. What's good, Danny?
Let's go, let's go.
Maybe you didn't.
See, he literally says, let's go, let's go. Like, we're fighting now. Like, now that I hit you with the pocket sand, it's a fight, let's go.
Brandon, armed with a handy bottle of mayonnaise, decided to improvise another collaboration with Danny during his shoot.
I'm gonna mayo this man. What's up, bitch? What's good? Hey, what's up? Let's go. What's good, Danny?
Like, I guess Nico kind of shoved him after he threw the mayonnaise at Danny. So, like, low-key, Nico could shove him all he really wants. But he wasn't saying, let's go to Nico. He was saying, let's go to, like, to Danny. He was not looking at Nico. Was that Nico? Who's even filming this, actually? Yeah, that is Nico. So I wonder even who has this camera. But, like, you can't be mad at Nico for shoving him after you literally just assaulted somebody. And it's not like Nico punched him. He just kind of pushed him over. Like, get away. That's less bad than mayonnaise in the face, you know? he just kind of shoved him a little bit. Brandon made that seem like it was like a huge deal.
Let's go. Let's go, Danny.
And then that random guy like blocked out Nico and like hit the camera. Let's go, Danny.
Maybe you didn't immediately pick up on this, but this footage is obviously not coming from the camera.
Nico holding a camera, slightly shoving, flipping him off. Brandon's like, I need to kick this dude.
Cameraman Nico. Luckily, Brandon had the foresight to get his...
And I bet you Tommy, or Turkey Tom, or whatever his name is, Turkey Tom. So I know his name. I'm just really high right now. I'm not trying to look like I'm big dogging him. Nico's holding a fucking camera. And like, Brandon's like, I gotta kick this fool because he's such a threat. Like, Nico's really a threat right now.
His own recording of the event.
But I bet you Turkey Tom's not gonna show the kick.
This proved extremely wise because...
Yep, he cut away.
Because after the incident, Danny and Leo released a pot...
That's convenient. That's convenient. Let's just cut out the part where you kick him in the balls or the stomach. Brandon's like, I didn't kick him in the balls. I'm like, okay, then you kicked him in the stomach. Why does it fucking matter? He told Nico to stop touching him 3 times. It doesn't matter. He still assaulted Danny first. If Brandon showed up and was like, let's fucking talk. What's up, bitch? That'd be, and then Nico started pushing him, that'd be one thing. But he already sprayed a bottle of mayonnaise in someone's face and then threw it at him. At that point, like, you can't complain that someone's shoving you, especially if they're holding a fucking camera and they're 5 feet tall and they're Nico Villacresis. Like, are you really... I got maybe if Leo was like pushing Brandon, but dude, it was fucking Nico when he was holding a camera. Come on. It ain't that big of a fucking deal after you just randomly jump scared somebody.
Podcast about their whole saga with Brandon called Brandon Buckingham Attacks Danny. And during it,
which is true, which is what happened,
the narrative of their IRL clash was reconstructed to make Brandon seem a lot more belligerent as Danny accused him of having kicked Nico, who was holding a...
He did kick him. I've played the video of the kick 1,000,000 times on stream. And Brandon will admit that he kicked Nico. He just says he didn't kick him in the balls. But he definitely kicked him.
Camera in the balls right before Nico supposedly threw him to the ground with just one hand. Seem hard to believe? Well, when Brandon made his response...
Nico throwing Brandon to the ground with one hand was a joke. That was a joke. Danny and Leo just made that up because they thought it was funny because the idea of Nico fucking tossing Brandon to the floor... Like, that was a joke, but he did kick Nico. This pissed a lot of Danny fans off, even the guy who made this video. I don't know what you mean, Evan. Can you clarify?
Containing the footage from his perspective, it became clear that Nico had pushed Brandon back
See, Brandon put his hand on the lens, so Nico shoved him. And if you touch someone's camera, that does count as touching their body, like in assault cases and shit, right? So then Nico pushed him, or tried to, because he's holding a fucking camera. His arms are like 2 feet long. And then Brandon kicked him in the chest or the nuts or the stomach or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter specifically where, but he kicked him. You can hear it. There's like a camera angle and an audio microphone where you can hear the kick.
Multiple times, and in response...
And that's when the cops grab him, because the cops saw Brandon kick Nico.
It's containing
the camera angle that they chose is just convenient that it doesn't show it.
From his perspective, it became clear that Nico had pushed Brandon back.
Yeah, but Brandon was edging on a fight, was trying to get Danny to fight him, had already assaulted somebody, was aggressing, was putting his hands on the camera, and Nico is like the most... Like, look, Danny is literally laughing. And Leo is laughing. It's like they have, like, their little Pokemon, like, get back, get back. They are trying to be as least aggressive as humanly possible. And the fact that Nico probably is in a couple beers and is like, oh, Danny got attacked. Get back, protect Danny. Like he's like their defend dog or something. It's fucking kind of funny. That's why they're laughing.
Multiple times.
And then Brandon kicks him, and then a cop, because there's another camera angle, he kicks him right there. You can see it, and you can hear it. I don't really want to find it right now, but it does exist. I have it in another one of my live streams because we've gone through this whole thing before. I don't remember if it was in our podcast or Brandon's video. Either our podcast or Brandon's video has a clip that shows the kick. I think it's from one of our podcasts, and we made like 2 of them. And then the cops just like tackled Brandon to the ground.
In response, all he got was a measly leg kick. Regardless, Brandon was seen as the initiator of the...
A measly leg kick. See how you can just like add adjectives to make one person sound like way worse and another person sound like not bad at all? It's like, Nico, the 5 feet tall fucking buzzed guy holding a camera is slightly shoving the fucking 6'4" collegiate wrestler. Oh my god, what a tragedy. He's shoving, he's pushing him around, he's being aggressively. Oh, but Brandon did a measly leg kick. First off, he didn't kick him in the leg. The video shows it's either in like the balls or the stomach. And why does it matter? He's fucking kicking him. Why do you have to add these like these adjectives to make it sound like it's not as bad? Or you could just say what happened, you know?
the fight, and he got arrested. While Brandon lost over 1,000 subs upon the release of Danny and Leo's podcast, he more than made up for it when he...
Yeah, and Danny never was like, guys, unsubscribe, fuck Brandon. We were just laughing at this situation because we thought it was funny. It was like, basically Nico got kicked by Brandon and then kind of pushed his arm like this, right? That's when the cop grabbed Brandon and threw him to the ground. So Danny and Leo,
when Brandon made his
in the retold version of the story, say that that Nico with one arm threw Brandon to the ground. That was a joke about fucking Nico giving a little shove and then the cop took Brandon over to the ground. Like, yeah, you could say that like Danny and Leo changed a detail about like the story. But ultimately, who fucking cares? Brandon's the one who showed up doing all this crazy shit to begin with, completely uninvited and unwarranted.
Balls, right before Nico supposedly threw him to the ground with just one hand. Seem hard to believe? Well, when Brandon made his response containing the footage from his perspective, it became clear that Nico had pushed Brandon back multiple times. And
see, that was Nico. See, Danny and Leo are standing behind Nico. Nico gets in a little scrimmage with Brandon. Brandon kicks him, and then the cops throw Brandon to the ground, and that's when they were like, Nico's our hero, he was our champion. Danny got attacked by Brandon and Nico hopped in the middle, and then with one arm holding the camera, Nico fought Brandon off and threw him to the ground. It's funny, okay? And Brandon's like, oh, this is an own, that's not what happened. I actually showed up like a crazy person, attacked them, Nico shoved me a couple times, I kicked him in the balls while he was holding a camera, and then the police fucking threw me to the ground while I was trying to get Danny to fight me. It's like, bro, this is so fucking retarded that anybody doesn't see this. Like, even the cops saw the situation and just threw him to the ground. They're like, this guy is clearly insane.
In response, all he got was a measly leg kick. Regardless, Brandon was seen as the initiator of the fight, and he got arrested. While Brandon
was seen as the initiator of the fight. He was the initiator of the fight. What the fuck are you talking about? How is that not initiating the fight? That is actually fucking retarded.
Lost over 1,000 subs upon the release of Danny and Leo's podcast, he more than made up for it when he uploaded his response video disproving their lies, and it now sits at over 500,000 views.
That's so dumb.
Mind you, at the time this video was uploaded, he had a little over 20,000 subs, so if Danny's intention was to prevent him from growing his channel, it certainly backfired. In Danny's podcast, they try to present their story with Brandon as if they weren't radically skewing everything as much as possible to make him look bad, concluding them publicly
radically skewing everything as much as possible to make him look bad. It's like, bro, can you stop just like glazing Brandon so hard during this segment? Like, it's actually crazy. The language used is insane.
Claiming they had no ill will and forgave Brandon, however rich that may sound. Unsurprisingly, this too was completely insincere, as Brandon was soon...
Yeah, Danny was cool. He was like, you know what, Brandon's been chill, like we could probably work with him, you know, like whatever. And then Brandon just did this crazy psycho shit out of nowhere. It had been like 2 months no contact. And then Brandon just like got word that Danny was in the same city as him. Brandon had been making his own video, done his own shit. It was like 2 months later. And then all of a sudden, surprise. I was like, what the fuck, dude? You just like ruined like everything. Like it would have been completely normal. Mullen tried to get me on the podcast and basically talk shit about you. That's not really what happened. We were kind of just fucking with him. We wanted to see like which side he was like. We were like, oh, what's his fucking name? Hooligan Christian. Like, let's see who he's gonna be a bigger like dick sucker of, Brandon or Danny. Like they were kind of just fucking with him. That was kind of just a joke for the pod. It wasn't super serious.
Been told by one of his friends that Danny had been contacting people trying to get.
And I think even on the phone call, Hooligan Christian was like, "Yeah, I don't know why Brandon did that. That was uncalled for."
them to publicly shit talk him, presumably to further hurt his YouTube.
We weren't asking him to shit talk anybody. We just called him. We were like, "Yo, we're talking about the Brandon thing. That shit was crazy, huh?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, well."
Career and reputation. While Brandon's takeaway from this entire situation wasn't amicable, it was quite appropriate.
Danny Mullen, I have $10,000 on the line that I will whoop that candy ass.
Danny Mullen, I already tried to attack you in public and then egg you into a fight with a spray of mayonnaise in the face, but now I have $10,000. And now that I know like how much money Danny makes, that's like actually like a laughable amount of money. Like, it's not even, like, to me, that's a lot of money. But low-key, that's, thinking back at this, like, that would not be enough money to get him to fight you. For me, I would. I would lose, but I would fight Brandon for $10,000. I think Brandon just wants to feel Danny's body on him. Yeah, he's like, now I will pay you to fight me. Just please fight me. I've been trying to fight you so bad. Just, I want to fight you. I want to get my hands on you. I just want to beat you up. It's like, holy shit, dude, you are really mad about a YouTube fucking video beef, bruh. It's not even beef. It's like one-sided. Like, Danny just thought you were, like, kind of using him. He wasn't, like, really mad at you. He just kind of thought maybe you were, like, you know, a little weird. But you're, like, so mad you just really want to fucking fight him.
In MMA or jiu-jitsu. That's $10,000 that says I will beat the out of you. You can either accept it or admit that you're a weirdo who's been f***ing with me behind the scenes and you're scared that I will kick the crap out of you.
In retrospect,
like, who the fuck is the sketchy weirdo behind the scenes doing nut shit, showing up uninvited places, spraying people with mayonnaise, trying to fight people? Danny's not doing anything like that. Danny's just talking about penis and being gay. Alright? But he's not trying to be insane and fucking fight random people over YouTube videos.
his extremely public falling out with Brandon was the main catalyst to Danny's public perception completely souring. But in reality at the time, many people enjoyed both of their channels and found this to be a very unfortunate turn of events. Despite how obviously in the wrong Danny and Leo were, people were eager to forgive them, but Brandon made sure that wouldn't happen so fast. Over the couple of months following the mayonnaise incident and their online back and forth, there were a total of 5 different instances of Danny or Leo retreading their beef with Brandon, all of which were addressed. First off, they're obviously retracting their beef squashing since they continued to talk about it non-stop, making indirect and offhand remarks about Brandon whenever they...
It's time to start my second...
We made a few jokes for a few episodes on the pod. Like, get how ridiculous this is. Brandon does all this crazy shit.
When you were coming up,
there's this whole, like, police brawl thing in Austin, and, like, we're crazy because we mentioned it a couple times on the next following podcast that we do once a week. Like, oh no, this crazy, relevant, newsworthy fucking topic that just happened, we made a few jokes about it on our 2-hour podcast where you're just trying to fucking make up shit to say on the fly. Meanwhile, Brandon, during this whole thing, he's like, they responded 5 different times over the course of... Brandon made like 6 fucking videos. Like, what are you talking about?
You have a lot of help from like collabs. Were you just jumping from crew to crew, kind of kissing people's, sleeping on people's couches for free?
Clearly, it wasn't over. It's interesting to see that while Danny was...
Leo made, that was a pretty fucking low-key joke, bro. That was just like a little fucking joke. That was nothing.
The person primarily affected by Brandon's Mayo attack, Leo was the one who seemed to take the most offense to it all, proceeding to enter a roller coaster of emotions about what happened. During his participation on Johnny Mitchell's podcast, Leo claimed that Brandon was privileged and didn't deserve the spotlight he got. This came out around the same time he was calling Brandon a bum who had to sleep on people's couches. Sure, saying people are privileged is often done ironically, but the context of the podcast was pretty straightforward and serious when this was said. Brandon rebutted this by pointing out that Leo grew up in LA.
Why not just show the clip? Why do you have to say that it was like... Why not just show the clip?
With millionaire parents and currently had $500,000 in the bank. And despite all of this, he still relied on Danny's coattails to make a name for himself.
Also, this is Brandon's second video. Danny Mullen backtracks. Leo DeTavio breaks down. So we make a couple jokes on podcasts. We basically drop the whole topic. We're not trying to like fuck with him. Meanwhile, Brandon's dropping like 2 45-minute long rant videos at this point, edited, like really thought over, posted on his main channel. Like Danny's bad because Leo made a couple jokes on the pod and called Brandon a
to add
couch
to how
sleeping
unreliable
bum.
a source Leo was on anything, Brandon proceeded to allege that he'd been personally approached by a girl named Ivy Wren, who claimed Leo had, without any preceding interaction, solicited her for some gorilla mode activities in an attempt to cheat on his girl. Of course, this is just a claim, but no less ridiculous than Danny and Leo saying that a one-handed cameraman Nico knocked down Brandon, who was a foot taller than him and had a history in competitive wrestling. But
that was one of the most retarded things I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm not trying to be a dick, Turkey Tom, but that was fucking stupid. I'm gonna play it one more time.
himself. To add to how unreliable a source Leo was on anything, Brandon proceeded to allege that he'd been personally approached by a girl named Ivy Wren, who claimed Leo had, without any preceding interaction, solicited her for some gorilla mode activities in an attempt to cheat on his girl. Of course, this is just a claim, but no less ridiculous than Danny and Leo saying that a one-handed cameraman Nico knocked down Brandon, who was a foot taller than him and...
So this is just a claim, right? It's just a claim. And it's nowhere near as bad as fucking claiming that a 4-foot tall Nico threw Brandon to the ground, who's a collegiate wrestler, which was clearly the fucking joke. That was the joke. Meanwhile, in order to show that Leo is a distrustworthy source of information, what the fuck did he call him? The justification for exposing this real, like, cheating on a relationship, like, personal shit is mind-boggling.
On Danny's coattails to make a name for himself. To add to how unreliable a source Leo was on...
To add to how unreliable of a source Leo is, Brandon had to expose that Brandon was trying to cheat on his girlfriend and publicly on YouTube, like, break up another person's relationship just because you're being petty. There was no reason to do that. Like, yeah, is it fucked up to cheat on your girlfriend? Yeah, but also, YouTubers don't fucking air out people's personal relationships or even really talk about that kind of shit. That's considered kind of like fucked up and unnecessary. And Brandon did it for no reason. And that's the reason why Leo is so pissed. Because I bet you in the rest of this video, they're going to be like, Leo is mad about views, or mad about clout, or mad about people making fun of them. No, he was mad because Brandon was so butthurt about this whole situation that he was like, you know what, I'm going to get your girlfriend to break up with you. Who does that? That shit is, like, insane. Didn't Leo send lawsuit threats from a fake litigator? I don't think that's true. I think Leo just copyright striked Brandon's, like, second channel or something because Brandon reposted Like, Leo did, like, that big rant video, and then Leo deleted it, and then Brandon just posted, like, the whole video onto his channel. And then Leo, like, was under the understanding that, like, oh, well, I mean, like, Leo doesn't watch YouTube, right? And they'll get into this stuff later. But he's, like, he's using clips of me, and he's, like, for one thing, the copyright strike for just reposting Leo's whole video, that one is justified. You can't just repost someone's whole video. But a couple, like another one or a couple, I don't know how many there were. I think there was 2, maybe 3. Those were just like parts where Brandon used like clips from videos of Leo and stuff, and you could argue that's fair use. And Leo is just like, well, I'm in the video, doesn't that mean I can copyright it? And like, he didn't really understand that meant his channel would get deleted and shit. And I'm like trying to explain to Leo, like, this is not good, like, you should get rid of them and shit. And then eventually Leo did just get rid of them and shit. But that's because Brandon was just posting like a bunch of content. And it did start with Leo. It did start with Brandon just completely reposting a full video of Leo.
Anything, Brandon proceeded to allege that he'd been personally approached by a girl named Ivy Wren.
But Leo eventually released all the copyright claims and shit and let it go. Even on the one that was actually justified.
Who claimed Leo had, without any preceding interaction, solicited her for some gorilla mode activities in an attempt to cheat on his girl. Of course, this is just a claim, but no less ridiculous than Danny and Leo saying that
Leo was just pissed about the whole girlfriend thing, you know. Like, at that point, bro, if someone that you thought you were cool with that's mad over some stupid YouTube drama just got your girlfriend to fucking break up with you so that he could put it in his YouTube videos and get a bunch of like 12-year-olds on the internet to be like, lol, Leo's a piece of shit, in order to get attention and internet clout and shit. Because there was no reason to even mention that other than just like, fuck you, Leo. So Leo was just pissed, bro. He was just seeing red. Anybody would be, bro. If your chick just broke up with you, you're gonna be fucking mad. That's just kind of how it is. I can't even think of another person on YouTube like doing something similar. like all the journalistic integrity and shit of like Keemstar and stuff like doesn't apply to Brandon. He can just do whatever he wants.
Handed cameraman Nico knocked down Brandon, who was a foot taller than him and had a history in competitive wrestling. But while they were already adamant about continuing their beef, they doubled down on it once Brandon released his response video. While Danny didn't immediately respond, Leo just couldn't help himself.
Danny never responded. Brandon made like 5 videos with Danny in the thumbnail and in the title, and Danny never fucking responded.
And it should give you an idea of how impulsive a decision it was to respond to Brandon, since Leo took down his video within a day of having posted it. In it, he admits to having mocked Brandon for having done heroin when he was a teenager, and telling him to go do it again, while maintaining he never mocked Brandon's dead brother. The highlights of this video are Leo bragging about having saved Brandon's life by taking him out of a metal haze.
You didn't tell anybody about that pep talk though, did you, buddy? The one that saved your life, dude.
Give it some time, it'll be all right. For now, we can't film. That's what I said. I know that for a fact because I would never want to hurt your little feelings, you idle weirdo.
This was promptly followed by more bragging,
pretty accurate.
This time about giving Brandon clothes he didn't wear anymore. Part of
it was just a temporary thing. Like, we're just not gonna. You just gotta kind of show that you can be a YouTuber without just like filming with all of us, and then we can hang out and Danny will feel better about the situation. And it was literally just Leo. And then Danny just asked me if I wouldn't mind, and I said I didn't really care because I wasn't even a YouTuber. I was just there doing the pod, and it just like came up.
Charitable person is precisely that you don't get to brag about it or expect something in return from the people you helped out. So it's very revealing of Leo's character that he does it. By far the funniest.
Let's just not mention the fact that Brandon just exposed that Leo is trying to get blown and his girlfriend just broke up with him, and maybe that's why he's like really fucking pissed and telling Brandon to kill himself, because that's what anybody, I mean, no one would post a YouTube video of it, but anybody would be fucking pissed, bro. Anybody would be kind of losing their mind, going crazy. If you have emotions, You'd be fucking angry. Honestly, Leo handled it pretty well, all things considered. It's still the funniest thing. Yeah, it's still the best video Leo's ever made. I love that video. Like, I watched that video on stream, and I thought it was awesome. I was like, Leo is pushing P.
The part, though, is the mind-numbing cringe that is Leo taking a break from on Brandon to brag about his acting and comedy talent.
I'm funnier than you, dude. I perform way better in videos. I can do accents. I can be funny in the real funny, where I don't have to find somebody to talk for me on the mic, dude.
I don't know who stopped making comedy videos and who's still doing comedy videos. Now, Brandon's videos are very successful, but Brandon did stop making comedy videos.
I got Peaky Blinders to watch on Netflix, and it's better than anything on YouTube.
After taking down the video,
This is classic. I'm gonna stop pausing the video so much, but
on the mic, dude.
The funny.
I got Peaky Blinders to watch on Netflix, and it's better than anything on YouTube.
After
That's like the funniest thing ever. What are you talking about? He picked like the funniest thing from that whole video. The thing that we still say all the time. He even put the Peaky Blinders in the fucking YouTube video because even Tucky Tom knows that it's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. That's like the best part of the video.
after taking down the video, Leo came out with another, more sanitized and apologetic
Madman,
response video.
yo.
But the damage the previous one did was irreversible, and it's since been immortalized on Brandon's channel. Danny himself didn't offer much of a public response besides reaching out.
See, look. Brandon just reposted Leo's, like, whole video. Or maybe that wasn't the one. Maybe that was the response. But at one point on, I think, Brandon's second channel, he reposted the whole video.
Apologetic response video. But the damage the previous one did was irreversible, and it's since been immortalized on Brandon's channel. Danny himself.
It has since been immortalized on Brandon's channel. So Brandon just took an entire video of Leo's content and then put it on his channel. And then Leo goes, I need to get rid of this fucking video. What the fuck? I deleted it. So he copyright strikes the video. And then he goes and he copyright strikes the other one about him trying to get blown because his girlfriend's pissed. Which he, you know, decided, like, he shouldn't have done. And then he got rid of the copyright strike. But he even got rid of the copyright strike on this video, and it's still up. Even though he could legitimately copyright strike this video, like, actually, if he just still has it on his channel. Not that he should, necessarily. Maybe Brandon should just take it down. Because you don't need to just repost an entire video that someone took. Low-key, but you know, like, Leo even took the copyright strike off. And, like, Brandon started it, low-key.
Himself didn't offer much of a public response besides reaching out to Brandon and trying to end the situation. But at this point, Brandon was no longer interested in any amend making and was just telling him to accept the $10,000 offer to fight him. On their podcast, Danny and Leo drastically changed their tune. At first, they were calmly presuming they'd get away with completely misconstruing what went down. But once they noticed that people weren't taking their side on it, they became a lot more apologetic.
After we posted the video last Tuesday, it seemed like everybody was on our side. La-di-da-di-da. But the whole time I was like, well, we'll see. This is, I don't know what Brandon's going to say back or what evidence he's going to have, what his take's going to be.
Yeah.
But the backlash against us was far worse than I expected.
Oh, way, way worse.
Yeah. And so I just want to say to Brandon that this was a big misunderstanding. I misunderstood a lot of things. You misunderstood a lot of things, which made you do the mayonnaise thing. I'm ready to move past it.
Once again, they behaved.
See, that's the problem, though, is that, like, Danny never responded. Danny's like, I've read a lot of self-help books, okay? I'm gonna take the high road. I'm gonna do what I think is, like, the right thing, okay? And because, like, he suddenly started getting all these messages that he was, like, a fucked up piece of shit and that he did Brandon really bad. So Danny's like, fuck, maybe I did really, like, fuck this guy over. Maybe I should have given him a chance. Like, I didn't think about that really, and, like, everybody seems like I'm an asshole, so I guess I am, sorta. So instead of just like watching Brandon's video and responding and trying to go back at him, I'm just gonna have Ian watch the video and then just tell me not what Brandon said was fake or what we should retort, but just like what did I do that was actually like that I should apologize for. And then Ian was like, yeah, Danny, so basically Brandon said this and this, because the videos were long and Danny didn't want to watch it all and shit, and he didn't want to have it all fuck with his head while he's like making the next week's video. And you could say that's Danny like being a pussy or whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Danny's like, okay, so here are the things that, according to Ian, Brandon said that I did that was fucked up. I'm just going to apologize for these, and then we're going to move on, and we're just going to, like, take the high road. And, like, that's cool and all, but what that ends up happening is that every single thing that Brandon said that wasn't true is now true in everybody's mind. Everything that Brandon did that was crazy, that people think is, like, justified or cool, is justified and cool, you know? Because Danny didn't respond to say otherwise. And basically, it just kind of made everybody think that there was nothing wrong with that video. And it's like, well, Danny never responded. He never even fucking watched it. So, like, he didn't even really know. And then, yeah, Danny was more just upset that he felt like all of his fans thought he was an asshole. And he was like, damn, maybe I am kind of a piece of shit, you know? But low-key, I think Brandon was just getting a bunch of people riled up over nothing, and Danny should have been like, nah, that was retarded. And I don't know what he should have done. I don't want to say what he should or shouldn't have done, but I maybe would have responded, because that shit, there was just so many things that I was like, nah, you can't just let this like slide and let everybody think this is true when it's like bullshit, you know what I mean?
Behavior that followed soon after didn't reflect this sudden growth of a conscience, as Leo filed 4 false copyright claims to get Brandon's channel deleted, and even sent him a letter of intent, which suggested he was going to take him to court. Later, Leo clarified this in a long YouTube community post. I'm not suing Brandon. I sent him a cease and desist letter because the truth matters to me in regards to this situation that caused such utter pain in my girlfriend's life. You see, Brandon stated that I took a girl aside and asked her to eat my banana, when in reality, I'm sure she was sent in to try and get me to cheat, and in fact, I turned her down at the end of the night. She aggressively asked more than once to let me show you my technique. I never asked her to eat my banana. Why does this matter, you ask? Well, because I had to hear the tears and pain that this caused the person I love most in the world. I had to suffer the mental torture
One Piece ad.
knowing that the details of the event were so misconstrued by Brandon in order to hurt me directly with what I care about most in this world. So yes, I sent him a cease and desist letter that basically states if he continues lying, I could sue. I don't want the channel to receive hate anymore from a community of people that get off on it. Instead, can we turn our attention to growth? If you guys like Brandon's content, then support him. But I know you folks also support Danny, so show him. Both channels can grow. I'm going to take a break from the channel for a while because that's what I think is the right thing to do. Please, let's stop the hate. I'm heartbroken and that's enough to deal with. Help.
That's a pretty accurate response, and like you could say that the copyright thing is wrong, and like I get that, but I think from Leo's perspective is he's like, I don't want to respond because I don't want to like keep putting more attention and gas on the flames and make a video saying this is wrong, fuck Brandon, this, that, or the other, blah, blah, blah. Especially at this point, it had been going on for so long. But he still wanted, like, the lies to stop. And he's like, how can I stop this guy who's just, like, lying about me and making all these videos and getting everybody to think I'm a horrible person without, like, threatening him for defamation or without responding? And there's really, like, you either respond, you do nothing and let everybody believe it's true, or I guess you go to court with somebody. Now, I wouldn't do that, but at the same time, it is kind of a complicated situation. Like, what would you do, you know? you're kind of forced in that situation to make a response video and be like, this is true, this is not true, blah, blah, blah. And when you're just trying to make comedy videos and you don't even really, like, watch other, like, Danny and Leo don't watch YouTubers and shit. They don't know about YouTube drama and really the community and shit. They know about our own community of, like, people that watch our videos, but they don't really understand anything past that, you know? So they're like, why would I make, like, a commentary video talking about this weird, like, beef that I'm having with somebody when that's not like the type of content that I make and everything, especially from Danny's perspective. Leo got really mad about the girlfriend thing and just said fuck it, like I'm gonna make this rant video that was like, you know, best rant all time. So that was kind of a W. I think Leo is fine with the cease and desist. If Brandon was talking shit that was actually real, Leo couldn't do anything, but since Brandon is lying and defaming Leo, he had some grounds. Yeah, but I think YouTubers and shit eventually learn that it's not worth it to, like, go to that point. But Leo isn't really familiar that much with, like, YouTube and stuff like that. So he's like, I don't know what I do. I mean, this guy's, like, slandering me. I might as well do, like, the one thing that I can think of to, like, get it to go away. And then eventually we were like, nah, Leo, you should just drop it. It's not worth it. It's, like, bad PR. And also, that's not really how the copyright system works. Like, yes, that one video where he just reposted your whole video, that's cool, but the other one's not really. You could argue it's fair use, and then also, you don't want to, like, it's probably better just to drop it. Leo's like, yeah, I'll think about it. Later that day, he just dropped them all. After talking with, maybe he talked with Brandon, I'm not sure. I think they had some kind of correspondence. But Brandon, Leo, I think was even like, bro, just edit out that part about, like, my girlfriend and shit. Using, like, the YouTube editor. And Brandon's like, no. Because Leo, like, Brandon was refusing to compromise on anything. Or edit, like, anything out of the video or nothing. Because he knew that, like, the longer these copyright strike things were on his channel, like, the low-key, like, the better. Because he could keep fucking, like, he didn't want his channel to get banned, but he was pretty confident he would get it back. And, like, low-key, it was kind of, like, Leo was kind of adding more fuel to the drama. And I think from Brandon's perspective, it was like, you know, this ain't necessarily that bad of a situation.
However much this sounds like Leo clutching his pearls after relentlessly instigating this conflict, he did stick to this whole taking a break thing. It was...
Yeah, because his girlfriend broke up with him and he was really sad. Not everything is like YouTube drama. Some shit is like, oh, my actual relationship. This is fucked. Anyone who's gotten off their computer, you know, like one of my viewers, like you guys, you know, who've actually gotten a girlfriend at least once, if not, you know, at least a couple times in a video game, we know that the achy breaky heart can be sad sometimes, you know what I mean? And Leo was just going through it.
Very clear that his beef took a serious toll on Leo's mental health, since around the same time, during the recording of a podcast, Jacob, the guy he lived with, made a joke he didn't like, which Leo reacted to by going ballistic and throwing a bottle at him. The crew began...
See, Leo, the collegiate level baseball player, Brandon, the college level wrestler, Leo, the collegiate level baseball player, missed a throw from 5 feet away because he was really trying to fucking kill Couch. It's like, no, I think Leo threw it into, like, a cardboard box that was, like, leaned up against the wall or something. If Leo wanted to hit fucking Couch, he would have hit him. He was, like, 5 feet away. Think about it. And if Leo was like, don't talk about this thing, bro, and it wasn't about Brandon or nothing. He's like, I'm trying to help you out on this podcast and shit, but, like, don't make fucking jokes about this thing because it kind of pisses me off, and, like, I'm here to, like, be cool. And then Couch was just being kind of like a shithead, like Couch kind of always is. I love Couch, but, you know, he's older now and more mature, but he was kind of a shit talker and a troublemaker, you know, and especially when he was like 19. He throws bottle at 19-year-old. I don't think he was 19 then. Maybe he was. But still, he was fucking being a shit talker, so Leo just, like, threw the bottle at, like, a box or something. He wasn't trying to hit him. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm gonna go get some water real quick. Give me, like, 5 seconds. It's probably like a legit like 105 degrees in this room right now. All right, let's continue.
Gradually distancing themselves from Danny, leaving only the core members. There were a few people who took part in videos like Mudflap and King Croc, but
Ooh, I appear. There I am. Look, I am in a Turkey Tom video. Nigga, we made it. Nigga, we made it. That's all I gotta say. That's big time. That's big time.
feeling was definitely very different at this point than it was a couple of years prior. In a
King
very
Croc.
interesting turn of events, Sandrine returned for another Fear and Loathing video, and this time, Danny was the one who was vulnerable and screwed up, mostly because he took a ton of edibles before she showed up. It was pretty clear that
Gigas for the
Sandrine
win.
was genuinely disappointed to see that something
That's a win for us Gigas. That is a win for us Gigas. Us real Gigas.
that was supposed to be a date and a video idea pitch turned into another Danny Mullen episode, with him getting kicked out of the restaurant because he was throwing up into the table's water vase. This was a sign that reality was creeping in, and the rowdy, fun vibe that his content had was coming to an end. 2022 marked a...
He just got sued. Wait a minute, guys. Was Danny actually drunk, or was he just wasn't he just pretending to be drunk? Or was he really throwing up in that one? Because a lot of the times he hangs out with Sandrine and he pretends to be on drugs. Was he... This was the weed one? He really was throwing up? He was stoned to the bone? Okay, so this was the first video? Okay. Because they went to this restaurant multiple times, I'm
creeping
pretty sure.
in, and the rowdy, fun vibe that his content had was coming to an end. 2022 marked a major shift towards unabashed degeneracy territory, with no hint of comedy in sight, as Danny was dating Mia Gibbs, who had an OnlyFans. Similar to how iDubbbz' fan base reacted when Anissa started doing OF, the fans were peeved.
I think Anissa, like, shows her butthole and shit. Like... It took a long time for Mia, I think, to even show her boobs. She had, like, what, 2 pictures of her boobs? And that wasn't until they were dating for, like, 2 years. And it was, like, right before they broke up. That's kind of just, like, a weird take. I don't even know why he brought that up. I guess it's, like, lol funny. His girlfriend had an OnlyFans. But it's not the same. It's not the same as Anissa, bro. That chick's doing, like, butt plug shit, I'm pretty sure. Like she's doing, like... Mia was just trying to make some money off of these incels, you know what I'm saying? These guys weren't trying to watch Mad Men. They were trying to subscribe to Mia's OnlyFans. And low-key, she deserves to take advantage. Like, I'm not saying she should post pictures of herself naked, but, like, fuck the guys that are paying to see Mia naked, you know? Those guys are incels that need to watch OnlyFans, you know what I'm saying? How much did you pay for Mia's OnlyFans? Motherfucker. That's fucked up, actually. I don't even know how to respond. That's just fucked up.
When Danny's
I shouldn't have
comedic
even read
attachment
that.
to doing weird and generally unadvisable things was revealed to be not really comedic at all, and just who he was as a person.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, she's not doing any nudity on it, but I don't really mind either way.
This clearly undermined the audience's parasocial attachment to Danny, however thin it already was. It didn't help that there were rumors around on a subreddit that she'd been cheating on him and had a history of letting college athletes go gorilla mode on her. Of course, it's not like Danny was faithful either, but regardless, when even close...
I don't know where the fuck that came from. And even if... That might have just been a joke Danny made about Mia one time having sex with, like, a black guy. Like, what the fuck? Like, what does this video become? What does he even talk... Danny and Mia are not even in a relationship anymore. Like, why is any of this fucking relevant? I mean, I guess to, like, his... Make the fans are mad at him, but that's just some random people on the Reddit. That's, like, 100 people. Well, okay, I guess there's, like... There's probably like 2,000 people, I guess, that use the Reddit every once in a while. Quasi-actively, not to mention how many people have been banned. But that's like just like a few people. Like Danny's 800,000 subscribers, like that's like less than 1% of people like even really know who Mia is and shit, or are this invested. Like this is like Like, look, he's literally on the Danny Mullen Reddit. This guy just, Turkey Tom went on the Danny Mullen Reddit and is like, this is like the consensus of Danny's entire audience. And it's like, no, this is just like, one, a lot of these people just hate watch Danny, and two, these are the most invested, like, super fan, like, over analytical people that watch the videos, like the top 0.001% of like Danny in like watchers. This is not the general audience at all.
Associates of yours are claiming your girlfriend is actually working as a prostitute and letting dudes hit for 10 grand, it will probably damage your reputation a little bit. To add to the IDubbbz comparison, not only 10 grand, are claiming your girlfriend's not like Danny was faithful either, but regardless, when even close associates mode on her. Of course, it's not looking on him.
Whoa!
And had a history of It didn't help that there were rumors around on a subreddit that she'd been cheating on him and had a history of
a buddy of mine. Rumors around on the subreddit. Hold up. Manny Dullen, 2 years ago, a buddy of mine at UCSB told me Mia was cheating on Danny for a while, and Danny found out. Didn't dump her. Dude is the definition of a simp. He's something. He was probably happy to know. A cuck? I guess is that what he's... Why is he blurring the word cuck? Manny Dullen on Reddit 2 years ago. A buddy of mine at UCSB. Bro, what the fuck? This is like actually retarded, Turkey Tom. Like, the video was like pretty well researched and solid, and then it just became like a bunch of like inaccurate shit talking, and now screenshots from the Reddit were just... Apparently, guys, if you go on the Danny Mullen subreddit and just make up something and post it, that a buddy of yours heard something, then Turkey Tom will make a video on it and it might get 1 million views.
letting college athletes go gorilla mode on her. Of course, it's not.
Manny Dullen is a respected source. That's true. Danny Mullen Reddit is all facts. That could have been Bud Swayze for all we know. Dude, it literally was Bud Swayze.
Not like Danny was faithful either, but regardless.
Danny didn't cheat on Mia? And this is a fake video where he was pretending to get blown by a girl while picking up something from Best Buy. Danny wasn't faithful towards Mia. Danny never cheated on her. He just made that up. That is not true. That's just like, I don't even know where he got that from. He just kind of threw that one in there.
Regardless, when even close associates of yours are claiming your girlfriend is actually working as a prostitute.
So close associates. Dude, Turkey Tom with his language in this video is like so funny. So Sandrine earlier is like crazy. She's 30 years old, but she's basically mentally retarded and her parents should like baby her, and that like even if she thanks Danny and says like, wow, that was like really amazing, actually like she doesn't know what she's talking about because she's too fucking crazy and retarded to know better. But she's also a reliable source of information and a close associate who, according to Sandrine, who previously in this video I did say she believed she was reincarnated and in love with an old man, but she also apparently knows that Sandrine is an escort who has sex for $10,000. Sandrine on the Reddit is about as accurate of a source as you can get, guys. That is as accurate as you can get. Bro, I love this. Now it's literally a game. You can just make up whatever the fuck you want, post it on Reddit, and eventually Turkey Tom will make a video and say it's true. I would have brought up Sandrine thinking Mia's a lizard, but it wouldn't have gone with Tom's narrative. True, yeah. Yeah, she does think she's a lizard, but Mia could be a lizard for all we know.
And letting dudes hit for 10 grand, it will probably damage your reputation a little.
Also, Mia was not letting dudes hit for 10 grand. This was about a conversation on No Jumper about a different YouTuber's girlfriend. And the different YouTuber went on Twitter like crying about it and shit. It had nothing to do with Danny. It was another case of just some random person on the Danny Mullen subreddit was like, yeah, he was talking about Danny. That YouTuber Adam22 was talking about, whose girlfriend's an export. He was actually talking about Danny. It was based on nothing. It was just completely just some random guy on the Reddit said it. And now it's in this fucking video. Why didn't Turkey Tom like message me or Leo or fucking Brooks or Inland Iggy? Like, why didn't he just ask any of us? Is it same with like, what's her name? Derp Queen. I'm like, yo, Derp Queen, if you have any questions, like, I can actually like tell you like what actually happened on certain things behind the scenes. Cause like I'm not hard to get a hold of. But I guess Brandon is the only source of information you really need for this video.
To add to the iDubbbz comparison, not only did Danny take part in Adam22's
King Croc
podcast, but when grilled about his use of the N-word and the edgier humor in the earlier videos on his channel, Danny dismissively said that it was just the best he had at the time and that it probably wasn't very funny, with his content becoming
yeah, but I'd like to see Turkey Tom get surrounded by a bunch of like Crips and just gigantic black dudes and have them question you on why you say the N-word and just be like, I don't know who any of you guys are. I mean, maybe Turkey Tom is like 5 million IQ and he has exactly like the perfect way to like, I mean, me, I'd be like, man, I'm from Houston, I just grew up saying it, you know what I'm saying? Danny just kind of freaked out because like he was like low-key, it's kind of a freaky situation. Fake gangsters, fake pimps. I'm not saying they're really Crips and gangsters and cool. I'm just saying that from Danny's perspective, they might as well be. Like, he doesn't know who these people are. For all he knows, these are like some fucking Crips who live in Compton who might like kill him one day if he doesn't say the right thing. You know, I think anybody would be kind of uncomfortable in that situation.
increasingly less edgy in the conventional meaning of the word.
Unless you like really have a good response, you know. But Danny didn't really have a good response.
And more sexual, this added to the narrative that Danny had no intention of returning to form.
Because he knew it was funny. You know, there were some offensive jokes and shit, that's true, but they were funny.
And that it probably wasn't very funny. With his content becoming increasingly less edgy in the conventional meaning of the word and more sexual, this added to the narrative that Danny had no intention of returning to form as far as how his content was prior to the Brandon debacle. After roughly 3 years of being together with Mia, they broke up, and Danny got with another corn.
That's arguable. It's not really like an intentional shift. It's more that just like Danny started getting more popular, so we started being able to get like hot bitches on the channel that'll show their tits for the Patreon. It's like, in a way, yeah, it like got more sexual, but it wasn't like, it was like in the past Danny just didn't have enough clout to get enough pussy on the channel, because like a lot of the time it's a sausage fest. It's nice to have a chick around every once in a while. Now everybody talks shit about our OnlyFans girls or whatever, and like some of them are more obnoxious than others, some of them are really cool, but sometimes it's nice to have a female around. Like Brooks's wife, Italia, she's in the recent video that's coming out that we just filmed yesterday. But I think that, and Danny always would have, like the videos probably would have been just as sexual in the past if he had more money and shit, more views.
Star, Holly Day. And right around the same time, he began a podcast prior to the Brandon debacle.
Wait a minute,
After roughly
what?
3 years of being together with Mia, they broke up, and Danny got with another porn star.
Oh my god. What the fuck? Actually, what the fuck? He did not do any research. He just read the subreddit. Turkey Tom actually thinks Danny went out with Holly Day. Like Danny would date a porn star and let Adam have sex with her. Did Danny and Holly hook up once, maybe twice, maybe, but that doesn't mean he was dating her. He was just like, Danny just gets pussy every once in a while. Turkey Tom actually thought that joke, that was like such an obvious joke on the podcast. Phil, what are you doing in the chat, bro? It was 6 times Holly said it. That they were dating? It was still a joke. We literally made a video on the pod where Danny's like, yeah, I'm dating Holly and like blah 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 blah, but that was clearly a fucking joke. 6 times they banged? Oh, okay. Still, like, what the fuck? Fucking a chick 6 times and not dating them is completely normal. Like, this guy is just reading the subreddit.
Holly Day. And right around the same time, he began a podcast with Adam22 called Sledgelords. As is apparently custom in the haunted goon cave that is the online world, Holly was recorded amidst sexual activity with Adam, and eventually, this activity was described in painstaking detail during one of their podcasts. Not only was Danny in the room while it happened, but how do I say this? Holly was savoring Adam's crevice. Bro. I don't know what the appeal of this kind of content is. I genuinely don't.
Like, this Instagram post was a joke. Like, the whole joke is that Danny was dating Mia and that he got dating Holly and that he got cucked. Got cucked by a porn star. But the joke is that he was never dating a porn star because porn stars have sex with a bunch of different men. Like, if Danny was actually dating Holly, of course he would get cucked. That's like the whole joke.
Get it? But either way, at this point, Danny had...
And then Danny posted this as like an ironic picture on Instagram. Because like Holly's his chick. But no, it's just Holly's like Danny's chick on YouTube. Like the girl he has in videos. You know what I mean? I can't believe how can Turkey Tom not see the irony? Like this is clearly a funny picture, like as a joke.
Mantle of a sex-brained cock without any reservations. So much so that when an associate of his, Swolby, criticized his lifestyle and how it was being influenced by Adam22.
Swolby! Holy shit! Swolby name dropping a Turkey Tom video. Let's fucking go! Good shit, Swolby. Good shit, Swolby W. Swolby W, man. Hell yeah. Bro. Swolby's big time. Big time. Swolby, you gotta like start, you gotta milk this now. You gotta milk this now. This is your moment.
Fully embraced the mantle of a sex-brained cock without any reservations. So much so that when an associate of his, Swolby, criticized his lifestyle and how it was being influenced by Adam22, Danny took it as sneak dissing and stopped working with him altogether. The gradual isolation of Danny from the entire crew was becoming more and more noticeable. For example, Cigar Guy, whom Danny had 2 adult actresses stick their pinkies in his had been sober for years prior to his association with Danny. However, being in Danny's orbit takes a toll on your mind and soul, and soon he found himself relapsing not only into alcoholism.
Dude! Swolby's channel! Holy shit! When we called Cigar Guy! And that's me! It's me and Swolby! Dude, I'm so glad I didn't watch this ahead of time, all the way through. Dude, who's in the chat? Johnny, Salib, David. Holy
had been
shit.
sober for years prior
Bro,
to his
let's go,
association with
Swolby.
Danny. However, being in Danny's orbit takes a toll on your mind and soul, and soon he found himself relapsing not only into alcoholism, but into a debilitating sex addiction that was so out of control, he ended up, and I quote, letting a black dude suck his ding-a-ling. Not exactly a position the average man wants to find himself in, but regardless, he left the crew soon after.
Dude, the Stairway of D-Tron just got on fucking Turkey Tom. Turkey Tom got a lot of things wrong in this video, but there's not a lot of reliable information out there anyways, so I don't really blame him. I'm fucking all for it. This is Pete.
Last we've heard of him is on a podcast where he expresses his wishes to enter rehab and clean up his life, which I assume...
Bounced from one doctor to
Get
the
that ad
next.
revenue.
Did they even send...
includes no longer being around Danny. Another casualty of Danny Mullen's insanity being put on hyperdrive by the culture surrounding Adam22 was King Croc, who was talked into starring in a porn video with one of the girls that stuck their pinky into Cigar Guy's behind. Croc got tested for STIs and for whatever reason
name drop
watched
Kazumi?
some man-on-man guerrilla activity to prepare.
This guy just tried to big time Kazumi, bro. Okay, you're not big time in Kazumi. I'm just saying. She's not just some random chick. Kazumi might be like the biggest chick in porn. Low key. Like right now. Who's like got more clout as like a porn star? Most of them retired. I don't know why you would not mention that.
For his scene. The thing is, he was drinking and taking pills in the lead up to it, and unsurprisingly, when the moment came to do the deed, he wasn't able to perform to the best of his abilities. It's been speculated that this scene was actually Croc's first time ever engaging with a lady in that way, which is not too far-fetched considering—
Yeah, name drop Swolby, big dicked Kazumi. Should I clip it and put it in my Instagram? Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good.
how negatively it affected him. Shortly after the video was posted, Croc disappeared, and while it was unbeknownst to most people in the audience, he had a mental breakdown. His unrelated—
Or like on your YouTube channel as a YouTube short. Or something. I'm not sure. You could think of something. Instagram's not a good idea. I mean, Instagram's not a bad idea though, just to repost it.
Not too far-fetched considering how negatively it affected him. Shortly after the video was posted, Croc disappeared, and while it was unbeknownst to most people in the audience, he had a mental breakdown. His unrelated financial issues rendered him homeless, and after a period of bouncing between homeless shelters to survive, he eventually smoked a laced cigarette that triggered a very bad bipolar episode.
Yeah, people were saying that I was completely normal, and then I go to smoke a cigarette, I come back, and my mind is gone. I'm just, like, completely different. Like, whoa. I'm talking to vending machines.
Croc recalls being approached by two police officers, eventually culminating in him being—
King Croc had moments of psychosis and stuff like this before we met him. And he did go to a mental hospital. We were hanging out with him for some time, but then eventually he just started staying with his mom, and his mom didn't really want him hanging out with us and shit. And then also King Croc, like, he had kind of ghosted us and like disappeared before, and he gained like a ton of weight and kind of isolated himself, and then just like randomly came back. And he kind of gets in these depressive episodes where he disassociates himself from people and shit. So it's like, it's something that has happened before, and he's okay now. Like, we know he's safe and everything, but for whatever reason, he doesn't want to, like, make his grand entrance into our lives again. On camera or not, like, King Croc is still, like, definitely ride or die, like, loves me and Swolby. Like, he still probably thinks of us as his best friends and everything, but he's in some sort of depressive mood where he doesn't want to, like, be around people, I think. But eventually he'll feel more comfortable. He's probably playing a lot of League of Legends.
Being apprehended and deemed gravely disabled. As a consequence, he was institutionalized for 9 days, and afterward, he never really returned to making content, probably due to how rough his time as a Danny Mullen orbiter was on him. While many people have deduced that his issues were accentuated by Danny's negative influence—
Nah, it was more financial problems and, like, him just kind of being— him having these depressive isolationist episodes. But he was never mad at us or really the channel or anything. He wasn't like upset. Like Danny always says, like he was upset about the porn thing. It's like, nah, not really. He didn't really care. He was upset for like a couple days that his mom was mad, but then when she got over that, it was like whatever. He didn't really care. He just I don't know. He was like maybe gonna get this like show on No Jumper, and then like Flocka ended up like not wanting to do it on No Jumper, but instead like launched it on his channel, and then eventually they had the opportunity to maybe put it on No Jumper, and that was gonna be like a big opportunity for Croc. And then Flocka, or what I think that was his name, was like, let's just keep it on my channel for now, cause like it's doing really well. And Croc was like, okay. And like he thought that he was like about to have his like big break and get like a show on No Jumper, and then that kind of like fell through, and then he got like miscommunication about him being on like Sledgelords or something, and that got him kind of upset. And I don't know. I guess he just felt like he had so many opportunities that were really good for him, like slip him by, that it just kind of ate up. And then he felt like he couldn't do it anymore, sort of in a way, when he was like really close to like breaking through. About a comment, skipped my improv class to watch this on the video. This video makes me want to rethink all the times that I blindly supported Tom over people he was beefing with, like how I know Brandon is his friend, but the misinformation is crazy coming from Tom. I know, I'm surprised too, because normally I would think Tom has like really good research and that things are true and accurate, but now after being someone behind the scenes that does know like actually what happened in a lot of these circumstances, it really makes you think like, oh shit, maybe you shouldn't just believe everything you see in a commentary video on YouTube.
Danny claimed that he, along with everyone else, did everything they could to help Croc. Honestly, there's no real way to know what role they all played in what happened to Croc, but it's at least questionable to have someone this mentally fragile take part in the crazy shit that Danny was doing. While all of this is depressing just to think about,
I mean, everybody did a lot to try to help Croc. To say we did everything we possibly could, I don't think anybody could ever really do everything. Like, but we all did really try to like help him, and like he was doing pretty well, and then he just decided on his own to not hang out with us. So like, it's not like he was sleeping on the street for like 4 or 5 days, kind of having a depressive episode where like he wouldn't talk to us and lost his phone, and like we would have let him like crash with us, we just couldn't get a hold of him, you know. But the last time we saw him, everything was good. We went to... The last time anybody saw King Croc, it was me. And me and King Croc went to Palm Springs to play in a Battle Spirit Saga trading card tournament. And then we had a lot of fun, smoked a lot of cigarettes, got back, dropped him off at his mom's house, and then he never talked to any of us ever again. Yeah, and then he texted Swolby back in April, on April 1st, and said, "Stay focused. Later." So, like, King Croc is letting us know, like, he's standing by, he's standing back, and he's standing by, and he's gonna make his grand entrance into our lives eventually, but he's just not ready yet. That's kind of what it is. That's the update on King Croc.
Nothing even comes close to the departure of Sandrine, who for years on end was actually infatuated with Danny, only for him to chronically choose OnlyFans girls over her, and to grind any potential moment of intimacy and connection between them into content dust. Eventually, she called into him and Leo's podcast to exchange...
Wait a minute, I gotta go back. I might have just misheard everything he just said, or he said something crazy.
That Danny was doing. While all of this is depressing just to think about, nothing even comes close to the departure of Sandrine, who for years on end was actually infatuated with Danny, only for him to chronically choose OnlyFans girls over her, and to grind any potential moment of intimacy and connection between them into content dust. Eventually, she called into him and Leo's...
Danny has told her forever that, like, she shouldn't think of him romantically, but they can still be friends and everything. And, like, that's the thing. We have a lot of love for Sandrine. She's very nice. Sometimes she can be a little extra and shit, you know, but that's fine. She's still cool at the end of the day. And I think at the end of the day, Danny has done a net positive in Sandrine's life and really taught Sandrine a lot more that she can be, like, independent and that she doesn't need to be tied on to, like, Jack and all this shit. She does love Danny, but she knows that it's more of just, like, she loves him, not that it's like fate or that she can't ever end up with anybody else. She's just committed, you know, to one day wooing him.
Podcast to exchange a few parting words with him, and it's actually kind of tragic to witness.
I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to talk to Danny on these terms like this. I want to talk to him off the pod and off. I want to actually have a saner friendship with him.
Sandrine, I appreciate that what you're saying, but your relationship with Danny is so important to so many millions of people out there that it is...
What about my own feelings, Danny?
Aww.
I love you. I love you, Danny.
I love you too, Sandrine.
Jesus,
And
you guys
don't
are...
care. Is this a one-sided thing? Just let me know so I can move on. Because I don't want to do this anymore, Danny.
Sandrine,
But Danny has told her 1,000,000 times. On camera. Everybody knows it. 1,000,000 times. Sandrine's making it seem like, Danny, just let me know. just let me know now that you're not interested, and I promise I'll move on. But it's Cap. It's always Cap. It's always Cap.
I'm about to cry.
Don't cry, Sandrine.
Sandrine,
Stop.
I just want to call about the sex magic.
Inland Iggy, Mudflap, Swolby, Cigar Guy, Fan Jerry, Cameraman Nico, King Croc, almost everyone had left. One of the few people who stuck with Danny throughout all of it, besides
Okay, wait, let's go
Croc,
through the list.
Mudflap.
Don't cry, Sandrine.
Sandrine,
Stop.
I just want to call about the sex magic.
Inland Iggy,
Inland Iggy did not leave the crew. He just moved far away. But he's still very much a crew member and still talks to us on Instagram and shit all the time. Ride or die. Not. He is in the crew.
Mudflap, Swolby.
Mudflap. Mudflap is still in the crew. It's just he, I think, like, maybe started drinking again or something and was getting kind of emotional, and then it would start arguments with like Leo, and he's kind of mad at Leo right now, but it's fine. He's still in the crew. It's just he was a little upset. I don't even really understand what he was upset about. It's just something in our group chat.
Cigar Guy, Fan Jerry.
Cigar Guy, he like just doesn't want to be in front of YouTube cameras anymore and shit for the time being, while he's working on his sobriety. But he does talk to me about wanting to start a podcast and shit, and he very much considers himself still part of the crew, just like more on the reserves. Like, he's not active right now. He's like he got injured in battle, you know, and so he's kind of stepping aside.
Cameraman Nico, King Croc.
Cameraman Nico did quit, but he's still the homie with everybody. King Croc disappeared, but he's still the homie with everybody.
Almost everyone had left. One of the few.
Austin and Dino. Check it out, bro. My Instagram handle. My Instagram handle. I mean, me and Dino and Chad are like kind of winning the battle royale right now. Like, all I have to do is kill Dino, which should be pretty easy because I live with him. And then Chad is a survival expert, so I don't know if I have a chance, but maybe a bear will take him out for me. You know what I'm saying?
People who stuck with Danny throughout all of it, besides Leo, was Rat Ralph, who happened to be a fan favorite who brute forced himself into protagonist status in the Danny Mullen verse. To give you an example of what brute forcing means, when Ralph felt he was being ignored and sidelined by Leo and Danny, he decided to shoot Leo a DM. Specifically, it was a picture of a person's while in the process of defecation. Any reservations aside, it did succeed in getting their attention, much like Sandrine wanted to develop a meaningful connection with Danny, while he just wanted to milk her coot.
See, guys, footage from my camera. You guys always like to say, Austin, you're nothing. You're a loser. And, like, that's true. But my footage has now been in a Keemstar Drama Alert video. Footage from my camera has been in a fucking Philip DeFranco video, and my footage from my camera, so from my camera that's in my backpack to your screen now on a Turkey Tom video. I'm Turkey Tom's cameraman. For free. He should pay me. Just saying. This is just out of my camera. Ben done that. Ben had the Sony A7 III. I need to get more water real quick. It is so hot in here, you guys would not imagine. Holy fuck, I am like dying in here. It is so hot. My computer's probably gonna like explode. I'm so disappointed in you, dude. Quit worshiping idols, let alone degenerate drug lord, sex real, corrupt rat dick Ralph. Dicker never fall off, we multiply. Okay, whatever. We'll talk about rat dick later. Let's get back into this.
Spooky personality for content, Ralph wanted to actually be friends with Danny and Leo, but the feeling wasn't reciprocated. Ralph was seen more as an endless content fountain, being willing to do just about anything.
We try being Rat Dick's friends, and then he does something absolutely insane. Or gets arrested for, like, domestic violence or something. And then we're like, bro, we love you, like, we want you to be chill, but we can't, like, hang out with you when you're acting like this. You did not? You turned your back? But we did everything we fucking could for Rat Dick. And he was completely normal. And then he started just, like, not showering and, like, smelling horrible and showing up my house uninvited and, like, screaming at the top of his lungs and streaming on Trovo and doing drugs. Really, he just started doing drugs again and then lost his mind. Reach out now. His dad just died. I've talked to him about it. I know. And I still love Rat Dick. But we just can't have him on the pod because he's in such a destructive, like, mode right now that we're just putting more fuel on the fire by giving him a platform to just act as crazy as possible. And Leo has even tried talking to him recently. Like, listen, bro, like, in the future, we just want you to be sober, and we still want the best for you. You could come on the pod. You could have, like, a 15-minute Rat Dick segment or something. Like, we could, like you just have to stop doing drugs. And it's like, he would come over to my house with cocaine. He ran into my bathroom at the beginning of a podcast and started doing cocaine in my bathroom. And I'm not gonna let someone come inside my house with with cocaine. You know, like, there's supporting somebody, but at the same time, I can't have somebody inside my house with, like, a concentrated substance that I could be held responsible for because it's, like, in my house. He has struggles, he has addiction issues. That's why we're trying to help him on that. But what do you think we can actually do outside of talking to him and giving him advice and sometimes giving him money and not platforming his, like, insanity? He platforms himself with his Trovo, and then he shows up at, like, when we're doing the pod to try to use it for views, or he shows up at a comedy show to try to use it for... And, like, really we want him to get sober and get a normal job. Because he clearly can't handle being an IRL streamer. He literally gets banned, like, 15 times a day. Or he's gotta just completely reinvent his entire life and his attitude on camera.
Thing they'd ask him to do. This brewing animosity between them culminated in one episode.
It's not animosity. It's like, bro, you're literally like a liability at a certain point with your actions. When a lot of the time, otherwise you wouldn't be.
Episode of the Leo and Danny podcast titled Ralph's Meltdown, which had Ralph drinking out of a massive jug of wine that was depleting at a very fast rate, to the point that
that wine was like 3 years old too.
It took it away from him. Throughout the episode, Ralph is very confrontational and erratic until it erupts into outright conflict.
That's because he was mad that we were talking to, like, our guest. You know? I feel like an asshole because I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he's really funny. He's from Australia. What's his name, dude? I want to shout him out. Dude, I should know this. What the fuck? Isaac. Yeah. Isaac Butterfield, right? I think his last name is Butterfield, or that's like a joke, but I think it's Isaac Butterfield. He's really funny, big comedian. So, like, we're trying to talk to him, and Rat Dick just happens to, like, come on the episode that day, because, like, I guess Leo was like, you know, Rat Dick's been better. He hasn't been going crazy lately. I think we can have him back and be chill. And then Rat Dick didn't like that we were giving too much attention to Isaac. So Rat Dick, like, started being aggressive.
Though it continues to be framed as if it wasn't a serious...
But Rat Dick acts out like this a lot of the time, like, for the cameras.
...falling out between them. This alone...
Not because we tell him to or anything, but just because you know, he's got to be Rat Dick. He knows like what's entertaining. Honestly, he's pretty good at it. He's good on reality TV.
Would be more than enough for Danny to cut ties with Ralph. We've long established that he will cut ties and blacklist people for a lot less. But the final straw was when allegations of animal abuse and neglect began making the rounds online, involving Ralph as the perpetrator and his 5 pugs being the victims. According to the information Danny provided, the dogs were kept in a studio apartment in their own filth while Ralph and Pam raved for days in a row without going back to the apartment to feed them. This marks the end of Ralph and Danny's relationship, and as a consequence, Ralph began streaming on an obscure platform called Trovo. This platform switch coincided with his drug abuse.
Bro! Rat Dick jerking off on Trovo has made it to the fucking Turkey Tom video. Let's go. Holy shit, dude, look, IP2 always wins. I guess they do at the end of the day. Holy shit.
Use and general self-destructive behavior cranking up to 11.
They got in it too.
And
want to learn skills for the future of automation? Universal Technical Institute's robotics
jacking off on Trovo, jacking off on Trovo.
As clips from these streams started gaining traction for their shocking, horrifying, and downright disgusting nature. For example, in one instance, Ralph did over 50 whippets on one stream, which led all the viewers to think he had actually
Bro, it was way more than that. Way more than 50.
Dosed on camera. In another clip, Ralph employs his own rectum as a pickle jar, then extracts the pickle back out and consumes it. I get the point of doing drugs, but what does one stand to gain from pickling himself or eating the pickle?
Holy shit, Rat Dick is big time now. Do you know how many more people just got introduced to fucking Rat Dick Ralph? This is like scary. I don't think Turkey Tom understands what he just did. Like, he just brought Rat Dick Ralph to, like, the mainstream YouTube audience. To the normies. Possibly over 1 million people. Oh my god. That's crazy. He did what y'all did, enabled his shitty behavior. Nah, we would never tell him to do shit that crazy. Like, yeah, we've done some pretty crazy stunts, you know, but they're always like consensual and fine. No one's ever really pressured into doing anything. Rat Dick Ralph is just doing this out of his own free will, on his own, for no reason. I mean, I guess for some Trovo donations, but he doesn't differentiate between a $4 dono and like a $100 dono. He just wants to like do crazy shit. He's almost kind of like old school Steve-O, or like how Steve-O is just like, I want to be like a stunt guy. Like Rat Dick just like wants to like be like Rat Dick. I guess you could say, I don't know. Like, yeah, you could say Danny like gave him this persona, but Rat Dick was relatively like normal. It was the drugs. Like, he used to do a lot of drugs, and then he got sober, and then we started hanging out with him, and then he got a domestic violence charge, went to jail, got like sexually assaulted and beat up by this big ginger guy all the time, and then got out of jail and kind of lost his mind and started doing drugs again. And then after he started doing drugs, he started doing all the Trovo shit for drug money. Because, like, we wouldn't hang out with him because he always just dabbed. Like, when we were in the old school studio and when I first lived at my house, like, when he first started coming over to my house where we did the pod, he was, like, only doing dabs. And then one day he, like, started doing cocaine on, like, his stream. And then it became bars. And then it became anything he could get. And now he's, like, doing meth. And it's, like, every single step of the road, we've told him, like, stop doing anything except for dabs. Like, you were fine when you were just taking dabs every day.
Afterward, for that matter. Additionally, in a poor reflection of the corn culture Danny had hardcore espoused in the last couple of years of his online presence, Ralph began selling pictures of his human pickle on Instagram, and both he and his girlfriend supposedly cheated on each other multiple.
Rat Dick had been selling dick pics for a long time. Like, multiple years.
Times in the pursuit of opportunities in the corn business. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the corn market. What can I say?
Dude, the whole gang is in this video, bro. We got Rat Dick, we got Wide Neck, we got me, we got Swoby, We got some Iggy action. We got some Fanjeri action. We got some King Croc. We got a cigar guy. Like, the whole fucking gang is in this video, bro. Like, this is fucking hilarious. He even got the wide neck, long neck. Like, honestly, the newest additions of our crew. Because, like, we fuck with them and they fuck with us. Like, honestly, they're dope.
It's awesome. The rat couple was locked in for mutually assured destruction, and eventually it came to fruition in a recorded screaming match that was broadcasted on Danny's show. This incident took place because Pam discovered Ralph had been exchanging DMs with Indica Moon, a corn star with whom he'd already done a scene in the past, which, by the way, involved CBT, and
Indica Moon stays winning. Holy shit. Indica Moon always wins. Her rat dick Ralph, like, think about this. Would you ever in a million years think that the girl who was trying to go after Rat Dick's penis, basically, for clout, would, like, if any girl just tried to have sex with Rat Dick, they would end up in a Turkey Tom video. Like, that's crazy. Like, her having sex with Rat Dick was like a clout chase to like be on the podcast and like all this shit. Like, honestly, that is one of the greatest clout chases of all time. Like, Indica Moon scammed him out of like $400 or something and made out with like so much internet points. It's actually really impressive. But she did have to have sex with Rat Dick like 3 or 4 times.
It don't mean cognitive behavioral therapy. Pam had done scenes with other men too, but for whatever reason, she took issue with this particular girl being with Ralph, resulting in their big fight.
There's nothing for you to explain! You keep texting her! There's nothing to explain! You guys... and you wanna...
Yo!
Nothing to...
Yo, it's the boys. It's the boys. They got me, Fez, and NBA Mike on the pod. Yes, let's go. NBA Mike and Fez on the fucking Turkey Tom. Pork chops, Giga, pork chops, Giga, pork chops, Giga.
To explain! You guys... and you wanna... again! Otherwise you wanna... text her!
God, dude, that shit was brutal to listen to. That shit was fucking sad, man. NBA Mike is the biggest NPC ever. NBA Mike is fucking... he's awesome, bro. He's a good addition. Like, he just played, like, a security guard, and he played, like, a head of a diversity for, like, a fake company. I don't want to like spoil it, but he did good. He did good in the new video.
Ralph's life
we all
quickly
filmed
went
one
from
yesterday.
bad to worse. He eventually showed up to one of Danny's stand-up shows, either to try and harass him or make amends, who knows. Regardless, he wasn't allowed in, and an altercation took place.
To make amends. I'm sure it was to make amends. He just came to squash the beef. That's why he started up his Trovo.
The exact nature of who started it and how it escalated isn't known. It concluded with Ralph being sprayed in the eyes with what must have been mace or pepper spray, and there's actually footage of the aftermath as he walks out of the convenience store that he entered to buy some water to douse his face to try and quell the effects of it. In the video, Ralph is begging whoever is spraying him to stop spraying him, and Danny can be heard speaking to him, followed by another instance of Ralph getting maced and laughter. It's clear in the context of the video that no matter how distraught he was, Ralph didn't pose a threat to anyone and was just asking for an Uber when he was sprayed again, meaning this was done gratuitously and Danny was either directly responsible for it or simply allowed it to happen with no objection. Just like Danny's sexual proclivities turned out to actually be who he was.
I wasn't there, but from what I heard from other people, that's not what happened. Like, it was like a lot quicker and shorter than that, and that rat dick was like going crazy. And I think someone eventually gave his skateboard back. Someone was like, yo, I know Rat Dick, I'll take his skateboard. Danny didn't spray him. It was like some other guy. One of the, like some dude that was there. No, I think like at the end of the show, someone gave him his shit. Plus, Danny bought him a new cell phone. So, like, he got a new phone anyways.
Taste for sadistically torturing all of his associates wasn't just for the sake of content, it was simply part of his identity, on and off camera. The last time Ralph was seen among the crew was when he crashed.
Listen, like, Rad Dick Ralph, like, low-key, his hygiene is so bad that, like, you may not think it's, like, assault, but, like, him just, like, touching you is, like, oh my fucking god, this is life or death. Like, holy shit, this guy is about to touch me. Austin lies for people that don't pay him. It's weird. Listen, I just said I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. I was late to the comedy show, but I spoke to some people who were at the comedy show, and that's just not the story that they relayed to me. But at the same time, I was driving my car, or I was playing in a trading card tournament and about to drive my car. Like, I was late to the comedy show because me and Fez were playing cards on, like, some nerdy shit, like, low-key. I showed up, like, an hour late.
The podcast briefly, invited by their producer Brooks, adorned in his signature rat mankini. Leo attempted to call the police on him for showing up at the studio unannounced, leading to Ralph grappling with him for his phone. In response, Leo gave him a couple of slaps. At one point, he even took a knee and allowed Leo to slap him again as a form of apology. Again, this is someone who is obviously very mentally unstable and had his brain completely cooked by drugs. How ethical is it to be engaging with him like that for the sake of content? Sure, he's effectively a cracked out BPD stalker of Danny's who shouldn't have his unhealthy behaviors rewarded, but continuing with the show just to further humiliate him is kind of juvenile trolling.
It wasn't to further humiliate him. We were just like, alright, fine. You can have your fucking time to say whatever the fuck you want to say. Like, he's lucky we didn't just make him leave. We were like, alright. Smacking him was funny, maybe a little uncalled for, I guess, for, like, YouTuber ethical standards or whatever. But he was fine. And this wasn't the first time. What is crazy is RDR makes more money than Austin. But that's not true. I mean, probably from live streaming, because I haven't live streamed more than, like, 3 hours in the last, like, 2 months.
That isn't entertaining as much as it's just depressing to watch.
But we weren't trying to use Rat Dick for content. We didn't even, like, we told him, like, not to go. Like, he just showed up uninvited. And then we gave him a minute to let him say whatever he wanted to say.
A lot of lolcow following communities now, people try as much as they can to prevent newcomers from engaging directly with the cows, because engaging with them is ultimately worse for everyone involved, and it's absolutely the case here as well. I think the best way to contextualize this is by comparing Danny and his crew to Jackass, something that many people have done due to these similarities in their antics. However, the difference between them is that when Steve-O, one of the main members of Jackass, was having extreme issues with substance abuse, the crew staged an intervention to prevent him from doing something drastic.
Bro, every episode of the fucking podcast is an intervention with Rad Dick. Every conversation we have with Rad Dick is an intervention with Rad Dick. It's like, how many times can you tell someone who's a drug addict, stop doing drugs? Like, what the fuck do you do? Like, do you want me, with my $0 to pay to throw him in, like, a $40,000 rehab? Like, no. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm friends with him. But at a certain point, sometimes your friends start going down a path, and there's not a lot you can do to really help them.
And harming himself in an irreversible way. And it was clearly because
Everyone deserves the fastest, most reliable internet speeds, regardless of where they live. With Spectrum Internet,
as they cared about him as a person.
And there's this one frame, if you look at it, like you can see this look on Knoxville's face. Everyone's seen him in such incredible agony. But he's never...
If anything, honestly, like, I don't know who even handled the situation better. Like, I don't even know if Johnny Knoxville would be able to put up with Rat Dick. Like, Steve-O was pretty bad, but I don't know if he was Rat Dick.
Never had such a pained look on his face that I've ever seen, except in that one shot.
With Danny, it seems to be the opposite. He incentivized everyone to self-destruct as much as possible because it made for good content until they became inconvenient, at which point he unceremoniously showed them the way out. He all but admits that this is what happened between him and Ralph.
The idea of Rat Dick Ralph is amazing. Yeah. He will do anything. He's got constant drama going on in his life, but that comes at the cost of, at some point, him growing. It's like everybody loves a baby chimpanzee, but when they become full grown, humans can't interact with them anymore, and they just have to go into a cage.
Again, this isn't to say Ralph wasn't behaving extremely erratic.
That's the thing. Danny's like, it's time for you to go in the cage and chill out, and then you can come out. But right now, we can't have you on our YouTube channel jumping around being a chimpanzee, all right? You've gotten too full grown. You gotta chill out, lock yourself in the cage, get sober, and then you can come back. We literally had to buy a dog cage to put Rat Dick in. We have the rat cage. There is a cage that exists called the rat cage that we put Rat Dick Ralph inside of, because that is the only way to control him sometimes.
But Danny and the crew obviously played an active role in rewarding him to become more and more messed up until he got to this point. Not just as a consequence of this, but everything that led up to it. Danny's audience gradually abandoned him, the same way the crew members slowly left. Not only did Danny prove himself to be someone who was only self-interested and willing to sacrifice,
Danny's fans completely left him. Even though Danny is at like, what, 800,000 subscribers? And then look, Adam22 is at 1 million subscribers. Like, Danny's doing pretty good. He's about to hit 1 million subs. Like, I mean, Turkey Tom's doing really well. But I still think Danny's doing really well on YouTube. And if you look at, like, his monthly views across his whole channel, it's a lot. He's doing rather well.
as others for his own benefit, but
because Danny posts more videos than like everybody else. Like he posts like once a week. And I mean this kind of like full form, like real content. Like if you're making a commentary video daily, you can't really compete against that. But when it comes to Danny's peers that make the kind of videos that he does, Danny posts like I think more frequently than just about everybody.
But he proved himself to be a genuinely unlikable person, going down a road other people.
Why are you letting your mods talk to you crazy as fuck? Because it's not good to have a bunch of like yes men around you all the time. And I mean like Phil's being like kind of a shithead for some reason, but I still fuck with Phil. I don't really care, you know. It's weird. If all my mods were just dick suckers, it'd be gay, but some of my mods are my biggest haters, so it makes it kind of entertaining. And I just don't really care that much what people say on the internet, as long as it's negative. If people say positive things, I do care. I like that. If people say negative things, it's like, kind of doesn't matter. If you're like 6'5" and like African American, and you're in my face with your fist cocked up, then I'd really care, because I'd be scared. But if it's over the internet, I wouldn't really care.
Didn't want to follow him on. As his former associates became homeless drug addicts, he went off to become a side character in No Jumper freak orgies.
But you let the dog eat peanut butter off your balls?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Brandon...
Yeah! Yeah! That one's pretty good. That was pretty good.
Chronically on and cut ties with soared in popularity. And most ironic of all, in 2024, Danny released a video that featured him talking to random homeless people on the street, exactly what he accused Brandon of doing.
I'm not even so sure it's comedy. I mean, sticking a microphone in somebody who's homeless and addicted to drugs' face and having them talk isn't comedy.
Besides the personal issues people have with Danny's behavior, a lot of people simply...
Big own. Big own. That is a pretty ironic thing, but at the same time, Danny was like talking to homeless people even before he said that. So I think he just was on the pod and wasn't really thinking about what he was talking about. See, everybody likes to take shit from podcasts. Like, we fucking ramble off the top of our head for 2 hours about nothing and then forget immediately 5 seconds later everything we just said. It's like a live stream. And then Brandon makes these like hyper edited videos where he's like planning out every single thing that he's gonna say, and then he treats like what we say offhandedly on a live stream or a podcast as if it's like super well thought out and that we totally 100% mean exactly what we're saying. And it's like, dude, we say fucking retarded shit all the time that we don't mean. There's probably a million clips of shit that I've said on my live stream that, you know, if I played it back and listened to it now, it'd be like retarded. There's like millions of those probably. It's just kind of how it is. But when you're making these like hyper edited documentary videos, like, or like Danny's main channel, like there's a reason why a lot of this shit is just on the pod. Because the pod, we just kind of throw whatever the fuck. It doesn't really matter. We don't think about it that much.
Simply think the content declined in quality and got lazy after he found success in the LA scene and was floating off of his Patreon.
We don't have any success in the LA scene. I mean, I guess Danny is friends with Adam22. We're like, we know Brooks and like Brooks' associates, but it's mainly just because we're friends with Brooks. We're relatively fucking obscure. We've never been like big time. Danny's videos are just good, so a lot of people has a lot of high expectations for him. But at the end of the day, like, when it comes to other YouTubers and shit, we're still kind of small potatoes. We've never really been big potatoes. So like, we're still all on the come up. Like, the idea that it's a fall off is actually sort of a testament to how good the come up is still going. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you have pushes and pulls. Sometimes things go up and down. It's with like every YouTube channel. But our channel has never really been like relevant enough in the public eye or talked about on like big channels like this to even really warrant this whole video. The whole reason why this video exists, I guess, one is because the content Danny makes is actually kind of crazy and entertaining, like Rat Dick Ralph, so like it's just a good story on its own. Our channel, well, I guess mainly I'm talking about the podcast, but you know what I mean. And I guess Danny's channel. We all just kind of say our channel, but we know that it's Danny's channel at the end of the day. But Danny will even use that same terminology with us. Or like, I don't know, it's just easier that way. Because it's kind of like a team effort. Even if Danny's the team leader, we're all still like a team. But yeah, it's like we've never really been that like relevant to begin with. So like, him saying that this is like a falling off point is actually a testament that we're starting to become more relevant outside of other people. It's not bad. Turkey Tom W. Austin fell off. Saltine is a star. Like, I'm surprised anybody would even talk about this. Oh yeah, this is my other point. The only reason this video exists is because, like, Turkey Tom is friends with Brandon. We're not really relevant to even really warrant this video outside of the shit that the Rat Dick Ralph stuff is so crazy that it's good content, I guess, to talk about it since it's kind of untapped. But I think it's mainly because he's friends with Brandon. Turkey Tom W. Austin fell off. Thank you so much, Tony. You're a fucking homie, dude. I was gonna call you a homo, but then you sent me $20, so like, you know, I can't really. I made $20 just now. That's epic. Saltine is a star, absolutely. Turkey Tom is a reaching motherfucker. He's really trying. I wonder if Brandon helped him edit this video. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon edited this video. I mean, I doubt it, but it would be kind of funny.
On money, which still has a little under 2,000 patrons as of the writing of this video. People pointed out that he deliberately became a lot less edgy and bold with his antics, just looking for cheap.
A little under 2,000 patrons. Meanwhile, the minimum is what, $12, and then a lot of them are at $25. That's a lot, dude. That's actually pretty fucking good.
Tony donated $20
for a
through
Patreon.
Super Chat. Turkey Tom W. Rainbow Flag Austin fell off.
Floating off of his Patreon money, which
1,600,
Still
so
is
like
a little under
1,700 members.
2,000 patrons as of the writing of this video.
So minimum, that's like what, 20,000 or something on the, like, as a super low ball. It's pretty good.
People pointed out that he deliberately became a lot less edgy and bold with his antics, just looking for cheap one-liners he can drop on the interviewees, knowing it'll be immediately followed by a jump cut. The editing also got worse over time instead of improving, and people weren't too happy that Leo was the only person still sticking around.
So he just read some dude's like manifesto on the subreddit and is like, yeah, this is the general sentiment of the entire audience. And maybe a lot of people would agree with whatever this guy said. But I still think it's really funny that his research is just reading the Danny Mullen subreddit, which is like really unrepresentative of like Danny's entire fan base. Most people know Danny, watch a few videos, are like, haha, that's funny. They don't even really understand who I am and Saltine, like they kind of know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe his hardcore fans who are like this kind of interested in the topic might care about some of these things, but it's like, he gets new fans and new viewers all the time, too. It's just kind of how YouTube works.
Pointed out that he deliberately became a lot less edgy and bold with his antics, just looking for cheap one-liners.
But yeah, but that's the same reason why you're blurring the word rape at the beginning of the video and censoring all the curse words. Because YouTube has cracked down, like, tremendously on this content. It's not a product of, like, Danny being a pussy and not... It's like, dude, he just wants to, like, not get banned and make money.
He can drop on the interviewees, knowing it'll be immediately followed by a jump cut. The editing also got worse over time instead of improving, and people weren't too happy that Leo was the only person still sticking around, because a lot of what made...
I mean, I think the editing is good. The team does... They have a very short crunch time to make videos. The guys who edit Danny's content, including Danny himself, probably only have like 3 days of editing, really. To get a video up like every week in between shooting and stuff. It's kind of hard to say, but he posts a video every single week, and there's only like 3 people working on it. And I guess you could say maybe the editing has gotten worse. Not that I've really noticed, but I think that's just because Danny is doing less of it himself. Or he's just not, like, it's just time. Like, he was like forcing himself to do a video every week and like edit it all and everything, and it was kind of unsustainable. I think he should honestly post a video every other week, but he's pretty committed to doing it every week, so.
The older videos funny were the others taking part in them. The comment sections of the newer videos also seem conspicuously sanitized and positive, almost as if there's someone filtering negative comments, but that's just a theory.
It's just something I read on Reddit. I read something on Reddit, and I think this...
Despite still having a following and regularly pulling in 100 to a few 100,000...
It's because there are 800,000 people subscribed to Danny's channel, and barely any of them are on the subreddit or give too much of a fuck. Or a lot of them haven't even been watching. A lot of people are like, his videos were better in 2019. It's like, yeah, but a lot of these 600,000 of these subscribers didn't watch the channel back then. It's like, yeah, the few of them that have gone all the way back and watched the old videos, maybe they've been like, oh, the older videos were better. A lot of the new fans, they just discover him, start watching his videos, and they're like, I like these videos. They're not thinking about it too much. I'm going to start a YouTube channel and only use Reddit as a source. It's not a bad idea. Most of us don't give a fuck about Reddit. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even, like, ever have a subreddit ever until I joined the Danny channel, because all of a sudden I needed to check if people were doxing me and shit. Like, I never even had Reddit until then.
Views. His online presence is a shell of its former self, and ultimately...
Like, Reddit is for libtards, honestly.
He doesn't seem that interested in changing it for the better as much as he just wants his content machine chugging along so he can keep financing his LA lifestyle. To be completely fair, Danny, at least initially, had a genuine objective with his content. If he just wanted to make money, he would have kept a cleaner and more marketable brand, but he deliberately tried to bring back the edgy, raunchy, and offensive sense of humor belonging to the early 2010s, an era of YouTube that people dearly missed.
He's trying to be as edgy as he can without, and still make money. He's not trying to make the most amount of money possible. He could metagame YouTube. He could hit up every other YouTuber and be like, yo, let's collab. He could do this or that and focus on just getting views. But Danny's all, oh, it's my comedy, it's my art. I want to make my videos the way that I want to make them. He wants to make them profitable. He wants to make a lot of money, but he's not interested in, like, making the kind of content he doesn't want to make. Or at least he wants to try to make content as close to what he wants to make as possible and still have it be profitable. Not a lot of YouTubers can actually say that. That's part of the reason why I respect Danny, because he really could, do a lot to just be a sellout when he's actually, like, not. It's kind of impressive.
Somewhere along the line,
he really doesn't like using other people. He doesn't like collaborating too much with other YouTubers. He's very particular, and he doesn't like ask for collabs with people because he doesn't want to like try just riding the YouTube wave. And I think it's because he doesn't watch YouTube. Him and Leo don't really understand anything about their like other YouTubers, and like Danny knows like what affects his channel and his analytics and stuff, but anything outside of that, he's not watching a lot of content.
This objective completely vanished, and the fans noticed it. At least on Danny's subreddit, most of the posts are completely negative. It doesn't seem like redemption.
Oh my god, a YouTuber's subreddit is mostly negative? That's like every subreddit that's not super moderated. Like, we just have a subreddit that doesn't really ban much unless it's like doxing or about like leaking our subscription content for free. Other than that, basically most things go, other than like spam. The only Reddits on Reddit that don't have hate for YouTubers are ones that have a bunch of mods that ban any hate.
Is anywhere in the near future, since just recently Danny had Andy Dick, a serial offender, on his podcast and interacted with him normally as if he wasn't a serial offender.
That was the joke. That was the whole joke. Having Andy Dick on the podcast and just pretending like he's just like a random funny comedian and not making a couple jokes about him being rapey and shit, but at the end of the day, not just like, we're gonna drill him and try to act like holier than thou and that he's a piece of shit. We just thought it would be funny to have him on the podcast. It's not like everybody doesn't know everything about Andy Dick already. And then sometimes it's good to give people a platform to just say whatever they want. And then you really get the true, like, understanding of what this person's thinking, outside of just having, like, a CNN or MSNBC style interview where you're just, like, grilling the person about, you said this in February, you said this in 2015, blah, 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 blah. And that's not really, like, it's a good conversation for certain things, but sometimes it is good to just let people relax and say whatever they want. Tom coming off, it's part of journalism, honestly. We're just good journalists. And by watching this video, all it's really said is that Tom is not a very good journalist. I'm good at journalism, though. You know what I'm saying? At least my political commentary is unmatched. My debate coverage, my incelism, unmatched. True. True. Well, that was an interesting video. Kind of pointless. Honestly, I don't really understand. I think this guy just loves Danny, low-key. He fucks with Brandon, and he's like, you know, Brandon, like, I got your back, because, like, I know you in real life, but low-key, Danny Mullen shit's funny as fuck. And, like, I'll make a video talking about him, and I'll kind of defend my homie Brandon, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna, like, shit on him that much. Because, low-key, Turkey Tom's a fan. You can tell. He's a fan. He's a fan of Swolby. He's a fan of Rad Dig Ralph. He's a fan of Kink Rock. He's a fan of me. He's a fan of Cigar Guy. He's an Inland Iggy fan. That's all that video really said. That's all that video really said, dude. He is a Rat Dick Ralph fan. Big fan. Watch the Andy Dick get knocked out clip. After this video. That was a good reaction. That shit took like 3 hours. I think I'm gonna post like this on my YouTube channel right now, I guess. And then I gotta end this stream and work on some Patreon shit. Bro was watching my live stream. I know, bro. He watched the live stream of me, you, and Cigar Guy, bro. Like, that's crazy. I guess maybe he got some of his information from watching, like, Derp Queen. Like, I bet Turkey Tom took, like, the Derp Queen rabbit hole, watched all of those videos, and then was like, okay, I can just take all the shit that she said and then, like, make my own video and, like, splice in a bunch of shit that Brandon told me and then give Brandon the footage to edit. Okay, that last part might not be true. But I think the first part's true. I think he watched the Derp Queen rabbit hole. So shout out to Derp Queen. She's low-key, like, the journalist-in-chief. And, like, she doesn't get everything right. And he got a lot of stuff wrong because of that. But mainly, people get a lot of things wrong because Brandon Buckingham is a liar. At the end of the day. That's basically what we learned. I don't hate Brandon, though. I still think he's, like, a cool guy. He's fun to hang out with. We agree on a lot of things politically and shit. But he is kind of like a psycho YouTube fan guy, you know. But that's just his quirk, you know. Everybody's got their quirk. I still think he's cool. Yeah, he tried to do a Dirt Queen copycat video. Basically. Bipolar. Yeah, all my friends bipolar. All my friends schizo. All my friends edge maxing on Trovo. That's true. That was a good, like, walk down memory lane. Thank you, Turkey Tom, for making this video. You'll probably never watch this, but that was pretty cool. With why Danny Mullen deserves his downfall. It's like, okay. Brandon Buckingham, the only man to commit homicide with Mayo. Like, yeah, real funny, dude. It's like, I don't know. It's like, how I don't understand how people still think Brandon is, like, cool after all that shit. It's just funny. Or, I can understand why people would think Brandon's cool, but I don't understand why people would think that, like, the Mayo thing was, like, in any way, like, acceptable. Like, if that was done to anybody else, like Logan Paul or something, people would be, like, mad. Or maybe not Logan. People would probably think that's okay. But if someone did that to Turkey Tom, like, if Danny was like, oh, Turkey Tom made this video shit-talking me, wishing on my downfall, trying to get everybody to unsub, I'm gonna find where he is and I'm gonna spray him in the face with mayonnaise, everyone would be like, you're fucking crazy, you should go to jail. But, I don't know. For some reason, Brandon Buckingham, it's like, fine, it doesn't matter. I don't like this guy, he is bad. Please notice him.
Tony donated $20.
Thank you, Tony. That is
Super
a good
Chat.
summary.
I don't like this guy, he is bad. Please notice him.
That's facts. It's like, guys, I'm not supposed to like this guy because being a fan of Danny Mullen is like not a good look. And I'm friends with Brandon, so I don't want to do that. But low key, I actually watch all of the videos and I'm like a big fan. But here's a video about his downfall. Please don't subscribe to his YouTube channel after seeing how epic his content is. I don't know. Thank you, Tony. Knowing Brandon, he's deaf creeping in the chat. You think Brandon's watching my stream right now? That'd be kind of epic. If someone did that to me, I'm calling them the hard R. You know? Reasonable. That's a reasonable time to use the hard R. Someone sprays mayonnaise in your face. You know, that's... I'd say that's reasonable. My toilet has been clogged for 2 weeks. See, that's some Rad Dick Ralph shit. That's literally what happened to Rad Dick. Free promo. Yeah. I'm happy. I got mentioned in the video. My Instagram handle was shown. That was pretty cool. I'm immortalized in a Turkey Tom video. Alright, well, thanks for watching the reaction. I'm going to end the recording right here, but I'm going to keep streaming. Peace out.